Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed that little highlight footage of the last race I commentated on, which was the GT 300 Triple Mix Championship, and it sort of brings us in to this GT Sports special event for GTPlanet and WRS, because obviously the GT 300 Championship was held on GTPlanet. We're now in GT Sport. This is the first race I've commentated on, and it's a special event because it's 15 years of the WRS. And we're off to the Nurburgring. So WS goes to hell, 2.5 hours of Nurburgring. And we're using Porsches because, as well, we can celebrate the fact that Porsche is now in Gran Turismo. So we're going to be using the LMP1 car, the 919, the Group 3 car, the 911, and the Group 4 car in the Cayman. So 3 different classes, multi-class race on the Nurburgring. And it should be a good event. So, like in the past with commentary, I recorded it live at the time, so you will get that footage, and then of course you're either watching the full 3-hour well, it's basically 3-hour video, or you're going to be watching the highlight version, which is a little shorter than the 3 hours. Before we get into that, we'll do a little track guide. There's no driver profiles like in the past, because we'd be here all day doing each individual driver. And there's 3 rooms full for this, so lots of people wanting to compete. Some old faces, some new faces, some GT Academy finalists, other people who've progressed through WRS from the lower leagues to the top divisions. It's all brilliant, and that's obviously the good thing about WRS. But we'll go into bits and bobs of that during the race, because of course it's the 2.4 hours of Nurburgring, so there's quite a lot of racing in there, and you know, it should be good fun, and I can tell you it is good fun. So just a few things just to note. Of course, I've mentioned the 3 classes. The simulated driver change is similar to the last race that we did, which was again the Nurburgring 24-hour in GT6. Obviously now it's GT Sports. We've got a simulated driver change, which is 5 minutes in the pit stop, but other than that, drivers will be racing. But that's it in terms of what's happening, and let's get into the quick track guide. It's not going to be the full track guide, we're just going to look at different areas, and then we'll get straight into the race, so enjoy. So here we are with the 24-hour layout. We're going to head towards the first corner, and unlike the normal layout of Nurburgring or the GP layout, this is a bit different. So you come into the first corner as normal, but you see we actually go across now towards its left, and a very sharp left-hander. You've got to be careful here because there's a lot of bump on the exit, and that can cause the car to oversteer. The rest of the lap is pretty the same until we get to the chicane, and as you see now, it's a much shallower chicane. You race through there, and then we hit the Nordschleife, the part where the GP circuit meets the Nordschleife, and onto there we go. And this is where it gets interesting, the green hell. We advance a bit further on to the floodplats. Obviously this is quite dangerous. Watch the front of the car lift up there, and you've got to be really daredevil there to flat it through there. A bit further on, we've then got this fast section of the circuit. You got to be careful in the braking zone here. Brake too late, and you're off in that gravel. We're then coming up to one of my probably most famous incidents. If you watched the E3 video, we're going to come up to the foxhole. So all this downhill bit is all nice and dandy, very easy, but then as you go up the hill, you got to be careful. Go too aggressive, the car's going to bounce on the curb, it will unsettle the car. Don't go enough, and you're not going quick enough, so you really got to be careful on that corner, and careful throughout this entire little bit of the section, because otherwise you could be in for some trouble. Later on in this part of the circuit, you got to be careful of back markers. LMP1 cars especially could get stuck behind somebody here and lose a large portion of time, so you got to be safe. And coming into here, it's a good overtaking place if you can nail it, but if you don't nail it, there's going to be a crash. Can be risky, but can be rewarding at the same time. Then there's this flat back section of the circuit. There I lift a little bit. You can do it flat again, you've got to be careful. But then we head towards this slight right turn, and then into the braking zone. Now this again can be quite treacherous. Brake too late, you're going into that barrier. Otherwise, make it round here, and then you head towards the carousel, the famous carousel. Now I did this in one take, so you got to please bear with me. It's not the best line, but I still do the carousel on the inside. Gotta be careful. It might unsettle the car. It'll definitely unsettle LMP cars, so you got to be careful of that. And then we advance a bit further on. So obviously we have a jump in the Nordschleife. We've got this little bit of area beforehand where this is where most of the crash videos happen. You know, you watch these on YouTube, got to be careful. As you see, it catches me out a little bit there. Continues this right-hander, and then obviously here is where you can be caught out. Here's the jump, and you've got to be careful there as well. If you hit that jump too hard, you're going to go flying into the gravel trap. further on in the lap, towards the end of the lap, you've got to be careful of this braking zone as well, coming too hot, and you're going into the barrier, and you've got to be careful on exit, because you get oversteer like that. But that's a little bit of a, you know, a look at some of the key areas of the Nordschleife, and obviously the GP circuit. Let's jump to the race. Final, here we go, we're at the Nurburgring, Nordschleife, well, it's actually the full Nurburgring. And as you can see the grid there, Adam in pole position, Podium in second, Razor third, Dutchy fourth, Solonex in fifth place, followed by Pokey in sixth place. We have three classes here, as explained in the introduction. We've got the LMP cars, and they're going to set off first, and they will travel very slowly initially to get underway. The GT3 cars will follow after, 30 seconds after to be precise, and then the GT4 cars are going to be another 30 seconds after that. We've got a cracking race here for you with this setup, really. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's to celebrate the 15 years of the WRS and of course the Porsche license as well. As we're on GTP Adam at the moment in this LMP1 car. And then if we jump to Podium there, you can see in the different liveries, livery editor, classic and good example of what should come to a racing game. As you can see the yellow there, that would be my choice of colour there by Podium. We've got a Razor there, Team Redline entering this competition in another very good livery. We then have Dutchy, of course, one of the curators of this event, GT300 Triple Mix Championship as well. Big part of the organisation. So Dutchy there in fourth place, followed by Solonex in fifth place. Don't know much about Solonex, but we'll see how they get on in the race. We then have Pokey in sixth place in the LMP1 car, and then we've got JF Rod 52 in seventh place in the final LMP1 car in this category. Let's quickly jump to the GT3s. We've got 4 GT3 cars there. We've got Nick KL, who was recently at the Canadian Championships. I believe he was. Anyway, we've got Fastest in 9th place. We then have Mr. Labrat in 10th and Argon in 11th. And then finally in the GT4, we've got Windfire. You might recognise Windfire. We've got Crispy, Alex Morez, and Meisterfetz. But let's jump to the LMP1 cars. We'll go back to Group 4 cars, don't panic, but the race is about to begin for the LMP cars. So, at the start of Sector 3, they are going to go to race pace, and after the chicane, they will then begin their 2.4 hours of Nürburgring. So, it's 2 hours 24 minutes to be precise. Let's get some of the race information on the screen as well, actually. We did have that on, it seems to have disappeared for some reason. There we go, that's better. As they begin the race, as you see, the LMP through they go. No initial action straight away. Passing very close to Adam. Further back, a Razor. Just running a little bit wide there. Let's go to 5th place, Dutchy. I think Dutchy's lost position to Solonex there. But all is the same there. Let's jump to Nick. No, they're just coming round to start Sector 3 now. So they're going up to race pace. We'll jump back to the LMPs in a second. Let's have a look if there's any action for the GT3 class as they head towards the chicane. Remember, it's after the chicane they then begin the process of the race. As we continue through there. And here we go. Let's see if any action kicks off. We need to go a bit further back. Nothing kicking off there. Let's jump back to the LMPs. Adam still in the lead, followed by Podium, followed by Eraser. Solonex still in 4th. No change for the LMPs at the moment. Bit of a gap between Eraser and Solonex. The two Swedes there. And looks like JF Rod 52 is just losing the back of Pokey a little bit. Let's go to the GT3 class quickly. And looks like there's no change at the moment. Let's jump to GT4. They've already begun now, so Crispy in 2nd place, Windfire leading the way. We've got Alex Menos and then Meisterfetz. A couple of names you recognise from the GT300 Triple Mix Championship, but they're here racing in this special event. Let's go back to the LMPs because Adam is under all sorts of pressure at the moment from Podium as they come into the foxhole area. It's got to be very careful here. And these LMP cars are very slippery. It's nice that we've got the lights there on the LMP cars to recognise that they are in 1st, 2nd and 1st position. As they continue on now down to this very complex section of corners. And Adam leading the way at the moment. Looks like Eraser's... Oh, someone's made a mistake there. Solonex has gone into the barrier. Mistake down there in that complex section and right to the back of the field of the LMP category. Fortunately, there's a big gap to the GT3s, so he can get underway again and continue racing. So our first mistake there by Solonex. And a lot to make up now in this race. Let's jump to the... oh, we've got some battling going on for 5th position. Pokey is right behind Dutchy here. Of course, Dutchy getting back to his original start position because of Solnex's mistake there. As they continue on down through this left-hander. There'll be a left, then it'll be an uphill right-hander. And then we're going to go into a bit of a straight. So we could see some slipstream action. Let's just go to the front of the pack. Adam pulling a bit of a gap there. Got the 1 second. You need that 1 second barrier for the slipstream. Looks like he's got it, but it looks like Pasm is going to be under all sorts of pressure from Eraser as they enter the really fast accelerating area of the tracks. Of course, not the straight. It's just halfway around as through they go. Not gaining that quickly. Just stay on this little battle initially. It sounded like there was a bit of a gap between Pokey and Dutchy. Eraser's getting very close now. Very close. 2 temps. Now under 2 temps. Is he going to make a move into the right-hander? No move currently. Let's jump a bit further back. 4th place. Still no moves there. Let's jump to the GT3 class where Nick has got a commanding lead of 3.2 seconds over Fastas. Not sure whether there's been an incident there. We're going to try to cover all the classes. It's going to be a bit hectic. We don't have any warnings to tell us where everybody is close to each other. So we're going to have to do this on the fly and have a look around. Let's jump a bit further down the order. Crispy in 2nd place. Windfire with a commanding lead there initially in the Group 4 category, 2.3 seconds. And that'll be changing all the time depending on the corner. Crispy there in 2nd place in class. Got Alex Menos in 3rd in class. And it looks like Meisterfetz has had a big issue somewhere. 11 seconds off Alex. So a lot to do there. Let's jump back to the front of the field. Adam leading the way, 1.2 seconds now. Pasm's got a bit of a gap to Eraser there. 1 second gap, that's what he needs. So let's jump to 4th place. Dutchy has... oh, Pokey's actually made a mistake somewhere. Oh, Pokey's in the barrier there. Pokey is in the barrier, losing out to JF52. He was battling with Dutchy, but unfortunately he's had an incident. So is now down to 6th place, but hasn't lost all the time to Solnex, who is down in 7th. So all action on this first lap. Excuse me, choking up there. Got all sorts to come in this race. As I say, it's 2 hours 24 minutes, 2.4 hours of Nurburgring. And we've got driver simulated changes. We've got obviously the fuel strategy. You can see the fuel is going down at the bottom left as Adam is pushing on here in this LMP1 class. Just got enough of a gap there to not have any slipstream issues currently, and we'll talk about the drivers a bit more later on. Adam having a cracking at the smaller carousel there, a cracking run out, gained a second there easy. So I'm not sure whether Pasm had an issue, but we'll find out later on. Oh, Eraser's had a bit of a issue somewhere. Sorry for missing that one. Not sure where that's happened, but Eraser's now going to be behind Dutchy as we come onto the straight for the first time, and Eraser's probably going to get this done with the slipstream. It's going to be really big in these LMP1 cars because, of course, they're all about downforce. So once you get behind somebody, you're going to really catch them up ASAP. As you can see in the time top left, under attempt, that goes to the right side of Dutchy, and he's going to go the long way round. Is he going to do it in time for the left? Oh, the side by side through, there you go, and Eraser just gets that done as they come down now into the braking zone. Back up to 3rd place for Eraser. So it shows you how hard these cars are to drive. The fact that we've had a fair few mistakes by these LMP1 category guys, and some of these are serious aliens. As I say, we've got Team Redline right there, and it looks like Dutchy maybe having a bit of an issue there, just going to the right hand side a little bit. JF52 not far behind either now, 1 second, so a very safe lap for JF52, but a safe lap can also be a good lap. We've just noticed we've used over a quarter of fuel on that 1 lap, so this could be there could be a fair few pit stops in this, and a lovely looking livery there for JF52. Let's go back to the GT3 class now, where Nick is currently 5.2 seconds ahead of... oh, we didn't want to do that. Fastas, and then we've got Mr. Lap right there, 4.7 seconds ahead of Argon. So if we go now to the GT4 category, Group 4 category in the Caymans, Windfire 4-second advantage over Crispy there. And then we've got Alex Menos coming through in that Cayman, 3rd in class at the moment, and Meisterfetz. I think that gap might be coming down. I swear it was 11 seconds prior, now down to 9.8. So Meisterfetz will be pushing on. We saw how fast Meisterfetz was in the GT300 Triple Mix Championship. Let's see if he can catch that gap up to Alex Menos. Adam at the moment currently leading the way, 2.5 seconds as he heads back onto the Nordschleife. And continues on through there. Just looking for the battles at the moment. You see Pasm trying to keep up with Adam at the moment. Adam, of course, an alien as well, very well known. It was actually in my European boot camp, so I know how fast Adam is, both in virtual and reality, and is doing a good job here at the moment, leading this race. So Eraser now got a 2-second gap to Dutchy, so Eraser's going to have to pull a lot there. 4.8 seconds difference to Pasm, but looks like he's catching a little bit there. But here is the main battle on circuit at the moment. It's Dutchy and JF 52 as they head towards the Flugplatz. Very interesting part of the circuit, of course. This has obviously changed in recent years. They've sort of narrowed the hill a little bit. So, of course, any of the games that have laser scanned prior to that, they're going to have to rescan it. But JF 52 looking to make moves now. Look at this, slipstream and all on this fast section of the circuit is looking to get past Dutchy as they come into this left-hander into the braking zone. Brake around the same time there. I think JF 52 may have broken a little bit earlier there, but looks like he got a cleaner run through the corner right behind Dutchy now as they head towards the foxhole. And down the hill they go, and then back up. Sparks flying all over the place for these LMP1 cars. And in to the right, and then the left there. So JF 52 going to have to just stay behind initially at the moment. Oh, looks like he's had a bit of an issue there through there. Lost 3/10 of a second to Dutchy. Let's have a look further back. Let's have a look at Pokey. How's Pokey doing? 4.8 seconds either side of himself to the person in front and the person behind in an all orange livery there. And Solonex. Oh, no. Solonex. Sorry, I'm using the keyboard here. Having to remember all the keys. And Solonex there. Struggling a little bit. I've just lost a bit more time to Pokey. So going to have to try and work on his lines for later on in this race. Obviously, you can't win the race in lap 1, but you want to be somewhere near the front by the end of the race, of course. Nick, 6.3 seconds ahead of Fastas. And Fastas under some pressure here from Mr. Labrat now. We saw Mr. Labrat actually in a practice lobby that we watched. And he was very good with his strategy. So this is going to be very interesting. Whether his strategy or what his strategy is. So if we actually, what we can do, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you've got around just under a quarter of fuel, just over a quarter of fuel used for Fastest. Let's have a look at Mr. Labrat. Oh, he's used a lot more. It's going for a different strategy than he did in the practice lobby, which is very interesting. Fastest obviously going for more of a efficient strategy, try and minimise the pit stops where possible. That's very interesting indeed. And then Argon again using lots of fuel there, so that's going to be interesting. Everyone with different strategies. Windfire, commanding lead there in that Group 4 class, followed by Crispy. 5.5 seconds apiece between the person in front and the person behind. 10.5 seconds for Alex and Menos there, ahead of Maisvet's. Maisvet's lost a bit of ground again because that was 9.8. Oh, what's happened here? I've completely missed this. What's going on? Pasm has got the lead over Adam. So Adam's made a mistake somewhere. He's got more fuel, so it's obviously on a fuel saving strategy. I completely missed that. I do apologise. I'd say I could do with some exclamation marks to tell me when stuff is happening, because that map is so small. But Pasm getting the lead from Adam. So that's a very interesting situation in this race that's already developed. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. To see some of the codes on track. I think that's just on my screen, it's not on everybody else's, so I do apologise for that. But Adam, I assume, is going to close this gap a little bit to Pasm, so we will stay on this battle for now as we watch Pasm come through this section of corners. So it's gone up actually to 1.2 now. And it's continuing to rise, so interesting. So we know Pasm's actually used more fuel from what we looked at before. So Adam just over half, Pasm just under half. So that's going to be very interesting indeed. It's going to get interesting as well, of course, when we hit traffic, especially when we end up on circuit with an LMP1 car Oh, Adam's done that brilliantly again. Remember last lap, Adam actually nailed that perfectly. Got a second. He's just gained 2 tenths this time into the 1 second window for the straight. That's a perfect scenario for Adam. And on this straight, he'll get a lot of slipstream. But as I was saying, when we get to the lapping of traffic, it's going to get very interesting when we have GT3, GT4 and LMP1 all in one section of the track together. That's later on in the race, of course, towards the end of it, but that will certainly get very, very interesting. You can see a line of cars there on that straight, so mixture of all sorts there. Dutchy, oh, Eraser's down to 6th, so Eraser's had another mistake somewhere. Dutchy up to 3rd position. And the Swedes definitely not having the best race here. So let's actually go down to Eraser. So he's the 2nd now behind Pokey. We'll stay on Eraser and just see if he's struggling in any areas. Solnex 6.3 seconds behind Eraser, so Solnex is losing pace at the moment. If we look at the fuel strategy, Eraser has used slightly more. This group of LMP is very close together still. And, oh, Eraser gaining a little bit there, but Pokey's had a better exit. But Eraser on the... handled the rear of that car a little bit better. So, with the simulated driver change, what you're going to have to think about in this race is... do I want slipstream for the start, for the back straights and any straights on the circuit? Because then I don't want to do my driver simulated change on my own. Thinking about your strategy. Do I want the slipstream to save fuel? Remember, slipstream it saves fuel, short shifting saves fuel, coasting saves fuel, and of course you've got your fuel maps as well. You've got to think about your tyres, of course. Let's just go to. Oh, we've got multiple battles happening on circuit. But the driver's got to think about all of these things with their fuel. Fuel's the main thing here before the pit stops. So it's going to get very interesting. Now, we're going to try and tackle both battles at the same time. So this is going to get very tricky for me. Well, all 3 battles at the moment that's happening in the LMP category. It's all chaos. And we're only 16 minutes into this race. We've got another 2 hours to go yet. And we've already had a lot of action. So Pasm 6 tenths of a second. We've got Eraser 5 tenths. So we'll stay on Eraser just for this initial part. 4 tenths. Coming into this complex section of corners. Let's change camera. Let's see if we can get on board here. Look at this for a camera. We can just see how. Oh, you can see how much of a struggle it is through this tight section. Just struggling. Oh, you can see in front as well with Pokey. The rear, the front, it's all moving about all over the place as we continue on down towards the floodplains. Up we go. Does the car lift? Does the front end lift a lot? You can just hear the revs just jumping a little bit, but even so they continue on down this hill now. And Eraser losing time there. Adam's lost time. I wonder if Dirty Air's having a bit of an issue here with these drivers. JFR52 also having a bit of an issue. And we've got multiple cameras. We can switch between them all. This is the great thing about the keyboard. And there's a 9.3 second gap now to, between Adam and Dutchy. So it shows you the front 2 are really pulling away, really handling these cars very well. And one thing to note with this event, actually, I've got a list of notes here so I can give you some information. Pasm, the whole point of this event, actually, which is quite amusing, Pasm was actually lapping in the LMP cars on the Nordschleife when Dutchy joined the lobby. So that's how this whole idea grew from. So Pasm in the lead is not unexpected in the slightest because he's done this before. So this is very interesting indeed. Just go to 6th place. Eraser still 1 second behind. Adam still 1 second behind. So we're looking at this this battle here for 3rd place at the moment. The final place on the podium between Dutchy, JFR52, and they've got to remember Pokey. Pokey's only 2 seconds behind. You know, there's lots of time to go in this race, but we're on a tight section of the circuit. Let's go down to the GT3 class where we've got Nick nearly 9 seconds ahead of fastest now, who's still got Mr. Labrat all over his tail. Mr. Labrat obviously needs to save fuel a little bit here, as you can see the difference between the two. And then we've got Argon, just unfortunately 2.8 seconds behind Mr. Labrat currently. Then we have Windfire with a commanding lead in the Group 4 class, followed by Crispy, Alex Menos, who's increase that gap to Maisvets to 14.3 seconds. Now, Adam still too far behind Podium at the moment. Jeffrod very close, and as is Eraser. I don't know which battle to watch. It's very interesting. Oh, we've got them all here. So we've got 4 cars really close together here. And they're all going to be battling for this podium very soon, I imagine. It's going to be very interesting whether... Oh, Jeffrod 52 is very close. Let's jump to that battle now. 0.3 of a second. Looks like he ran wide a little bit. He's losing time now on the straight. So he's had a bit of an issue there. As we're coming up to the carousel. Getting a bit lost here on the circuit. Coming up to the carousel. We've got pit stops soon, of course. In fact, pit stops could happen at the end of this lap. So that'd be very interesting. You can see all 4 cars currently on track at the moment there. All together. Just with JF 52 at the moment. Now 9 behind Dutchy, but Pokey has gained that gap. Look at that gap. That gap is so close now. All 4 cars very close. 4-way battle for 3rd place at the moment. This is going to get very interesting as we head into the 20th minute of this race. And all 4 cars looking very good. Closest battle on track at the moment, this. And we'll have a look at fastest laps in due course. Oh, I thought Jeff Roth made a mistake there. Apparently not. But is under all sorts of pressure now from Pokey. And Dutchy is actually pulling away from JF Roth 52. JF Roth 52 going to have a bit of issue with Pokey and Eraser. Let's have a look how far Solnex is behind. 7 seconds. So no trouble for this battle at the moment. But let's stay on JF Roth 52. With Pokey right behind him. And just 1 second while I grab some water. This is crazy. Oh, excuse me. Right, we continue on with this battle. JF 52, Pokey, Eraser, all there. And let's actually go 1 position back. Let's get on board Pokey. And you can see on the straight now if any action occurs. Now, the race is going to have double slipstream. Let's have a look through here. You can see, oh, that's a mistake by Pokey. And into the barrier he goes. Let's jump to JF 52 because he's going to have all sorts of slipstream, I think, from Dutchy as they come onto the straight there. That was unfortunate for Pokey. Just making a mistake on that mini carousel. You can just see how the car is affected by the bumps on that corner. Same on the other carousel. So we've seen a fair few mistakes from these LMP1 category drivers. And this is also why in Group C there's no LMP1 cars, because they are very hard to drive. As you can see, JF 52 getting very close now, coming to the slight left, down to 2 tenths. Ooh, he lets off a little bit there, I think. Let's Dutchy continue on all the same. So, currently Dutchy still leading away. Podium into the pits there. Podium is into the pits. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Who else goes in the pits? Got Eraser going in the pits. Oh, they're all in the pits. Adam, with his fuel saving, has survived. Let's have a look at Adam. Just under a quarter. So, Adam's going to be on a bit of a fuel saving mode at the moment, I imagine. Still revving that car out. That's interesting. So now we're going to have to pay attention to all of these LMP1 drivers. Who's going to come out the pits first? Let's... Podium is out the pits first. Not quite a full tank of fuel. That's interesting. So he's obviously figured out some... Oh, just runs wide at the first corner. Brand new tyres being a bit of an issue. Pokey out in 3rd place. So... Jumping Dutchy in the pits, and Dutchy's got less fuel. That's interesting. Pokey hasn't changed his tyres. Interesting strategy there. Pokey not changing tyres, going for fuel, and that's it. That could gain him the podium he requires in this race. Eraser is going for the simulated driver change. This is a 5-minute pit stop. He's got 5 minutes in the pits. Just sits there, has to take a picture to show the 5 minutes done, and then the tyre work and fuel can commence. Now, this is a very interesting strategy, and I think possibly the wrong one, because as you see, the gap to Nick is only 3 minutes and 44 seconds. Eraser's going to come out behind the GT3 class, which is going to be very interesting. If we jump back to Pokey at the moment, oh no, we've got disconnects. That's unfortunate. We've lost 2 guys, Crispy and Adam. Adam leading the race and has actually been kicked out of the room by the PSN server. That's unfortunate. We continue on all the same. So Podium now takes the effective lead once again. It's been a shame. We would love to have seen what kind of strategy Adam was on and see if he would have made it round even. So now we have only 3 Group 4 cars, so Mighty Effects gets promoted to the podium spot. This category is really spaced out, so it's all about not making mistakes in that category. So if we jump to 10th position, Argon closing in on Mr. Labrat. I wonder if Mr. Labrat's made a mistake. No, he hasn't. Argon's been catching. This is interesting because Fastas is just up the road. Yeah, I think Nick is miles up the road though, so Nick having a commanding lead in this GT3 class. Really unfortunate with those disconnects, so continue on all the same, and we'll give some of these Group 3 cars a bit of time, but at the moment the gap's staying. Oh, I thought Argon, that was just the telemetry going a bit iffy there. It suddenly dropped to 1.3, you suddenly panic and think, oh, someone's made a mistake. Obviously not, although Argon is still catching here. I think Argon is catching. This could get very interesting in this category. I think the interesting story so far in this race is Pokey, apart from the disconnects, is Pokey not changing his tyres on the first pit stop. It's a very interesting call, and we'll see how that pays off later on in the race. But it saved him some time. He's jumped a few positions, exactly what he wanted. He's gained about 3, 4, 5 seconds there. You know, every second counts in racing. So let's jump back up to the front. Pazum commanding lead there, 10.6. Pokey with a 1 second gap, just under now to Dutchy. And then we've got Jeff Rob 52 on his own at the moment. Solnex on his own. Andy Razor still in the pits. So as you see now, if you look at the map, we've got top right hand corner. We've got Nick on the straight. We've got Razor in the pits. So as you see, that gap, you can actually see the 5 minutes sort of based on this time here. So you got 4 minutes 9, 4 minutes 10. You remember it was 3:44. That is going to be extremely close. So that's 50 seconds, and Nick's at the end of the straight. So I have a funny feeling Eraser's going to come out behind those GT3 cars, perhaps right in the middle of the battle that's going to be happening. We'll have to keep an eye on this. But Nick's going to come through now. Eraser's still not getting any fuel, so Nick overtakes Eraser initially. Of course, Eraser in that LMP1 category, and they can also do an extra lap, it looks like, the GT3 cars. Nick saved an awful lot of fuel there, perhaps even 2. We'll have to find out later on in the race. And yes, oh, Miss Labrat in the pits, that's interesting, as is Argon. Argon just making it to the pits, 2% of fuel left. So that's good for Eraser a little bit, means he's got less to do. Sorry, I'm just trying to jump between them two. Let's find out if anyone's doing a driver change here. As we see Argon into the pits. Any movement? Nope, that's a driver change. Could be fuel, actually. The problem we have is we can't actually see if fuel's going up. That is unfortunate. It was just fuel, so no tyre change. That's interesting. I do believe... no, Argon. No tyre change. Just fuel going into the car. So Argon using a lot more fuel. Cost him about 2 seconds there. So obviously he came in with 2%. So let's go back to the front. Pokey's lost Dutchy now. 2.6 seconds gap between those two. And then there's another 3 seconds back to JF Rod 52. JF Rod 52, 10.7 seconds ahead of Solnex. And actually, if we got Eraser in it, Eraser's out the pit. So let's have a look now how Eraser does with the traffic. Now it's 28 seconds. Oh, he's pulled a Pasm. First corner, all over the place, out the pits. Now we're gonna have to gain quite a bit of time there. And Windfire's in the pits, so Group 4 cars in the pits. Let's just jump to those quickly. I think Windfire is just getting fueled. They've obviously used a bit more tyre wear there, these drivers, which is interesting in itself. Windfire coming out the pits. Alex Menos, tyre change. That was interesting. I'm not sure why it's so delayed, that. And then we got Meisterfetz. What's Meisterfetz doing? Tyre change and fuel. So nobody else is doing their driver simulated stop at the moment. I'm trying to find Eraser on my old keyboard. Here's 10th. Here we go. So Eraser has... well, he's going to be catching these at a fair pace of knots. 19 seconds, was 28 when he initially left the pits. Not even off the actual GP circuit yet. 10 seconds already gained in this LMP1 car. As you can see the difference actually on the map. So the LMP1 cars are on the straight now, or I believe they're on the straight, and Eraser all the way back here. So that's what 5 minutes does to your lap. So let's see what Eraser does with this GT3 cars, catching them ever so quickly. Another 5 second dropped on Argon, or caught on Argon. Coming into this complex section of S's. Let's jump on board. Let's see how Eraser handles this. You can just see he's using every bit of the track here, every inch of the track. Through the left. Continues on now. Up towards the floodplats. Over we go. No bouncing the revs this time. Heavy car with that fuel load. 6 seconds now. We're going to be catching very quickly to these GT3 cars. They're on the same straight as Eraser. 5 seconds. 4.5. Should be coming to shots. There you go. You can just see that. Argon just up ahead through the right hander. You can see how hard these cars are to drive. Having to go 3/4 throttle as we head now down the hill and then back up again. Is going to catch Argon in a very awkward spot here. An extremely awkward spot. Let's see what happens with Eraser and Argon. Into this left. Oh, that's very close. Oh, squeaky bum time. He's through just. Argon was just running slightly wide. Forced Eraser slightly onto the grass. Eraser did very well to keep hold of the car there. And has managed to get through the first of the Group 3 cars. Mr. Lab Rat up next. And we'll see what he can do with Mr. Labrat. Again in an awkward spot. Trying to go around the outside here. Mr. Labrat gives him room. Fair play. And up he goes. 28 seconds out to the next guy. So, Pazum. Have they caught up to the Group 4 cars? Who's the last Group 4 car? It's Meisterfetz, I believe. So, Pazum's actually going to catch Meisterfetz before Eraser catches Fastass. Getting all very exciting here. We can see the session best down at the bottom right. Sort of the sector times. I wonder if we can see fuel actually. I've not actually tried this. Let's give it a whirl. Can we see fuel? No, we can't. That's unfortunate. That must be what he has it on at the moment. Let's find out. Let's jump to number 2. Yes, this is the map. That's interesting. We can see exactly what they're looking at. That's kind of nice. So nobody using the radar, which is very interesting because that's what I normally use. Even so, back to the racing. Pazum now leading the way quite substantially. I'm really gutted Adam got disconnected. Really, really gutted because I think that strategy was an interesting one. And it'd been interesting to see if he'd have made it round to the pits. Oh, flashing lights. That means Pazum is catching up to the Group 4 cars. Let's see how quick. Oh, in a really awkward spot. Same as Eraser this time. Right in this very awkward spot. So what's Pazum going to do? Oh, goes around the right hand side. Oh, squeaky bum time. Sorry for the squeakiness. Well, that was very scary. But through he goes. Oh, Meisterfetz off into the barrier. That's caused Meisterfetz all sorts of trouble there. Let's jump to Eraser, who I think is in 8th place. There we go. Look at that. Getting better with these switches. So Eraser in 8th place. Now we're going to be catching up to Fastass. I think he should catch Fastass before Pokey catches. Oh, that was a bit sketchy through there. 6 seconds down to 5 seconds. I'm trying to keep an eye on all these times. It's pretty crazy. And we will have a look at fastest laps as well soon. You can see Pokey's got the current fastest lap of 7 minutes. Oh, Eraser, calm yourself a little bit. Obviously trying to put all sorts of time in. 5 minutes 16 behind Pazum at the moment. Remember, simulated driver change is 5 minutes long, so there's 16 seconds to gain there. And Eraser catches up to Fastass now. And looks like Fastass has just let him go nice and easy. Fair play. Let's have a look where Meisterfetz is to Pokey. Oh, there's Meisterfetz. Already been lapped by... Oh, slight contact between JF52 and Meisterfetz. JF52 wanted to come through very quickly because that gap to Dutchy is only 1.8 seconds. All to play for that final podium position currently. You can see JF lost time because of lapping traffic. So, you know, where you catch these guys is always very interesting. Now, who's next up on the old Group 4 list? So we've got Alex Menos there. Where's that? So Pazum's already overtaken Alex Menos. We'll stay on Alex Menos and we'll have a look how the other LMP1 cars handle Alex Menos as they do deal with the lap traffic. So there's Pokey. Coming to this sharp section. So this is the right-hander. Oh, bit of confusion. Bit of confusion there. Should be maybe flash your lights a little bit. Let him through. So aim of the game is pass on the left is what they've been said to do for ease, but that was the right, but that makes sense with the racing line into the carousel. Dutchy in a very awkward spot here. Gonna have to stay behind Alex Menos as he comes out of here. That's when he can go for the overtake. Alex goes to the right, Dutchy to the left, through Dutchy goes. Next up, JF 52. Is there going to be any issues for JF 52? Similar to with Maisvets earlier on, let's have a look. Goes for the move down the left. Oh, came across his front there. That was interesting, but all the same, through he goes. And then we've got obviously Windfire next, who's about to get lapped by, I imagine that's Pasm. It is indeed. So we've got Windfire and Pasm. Windfire was one of the leading contenders in that GT300 Triple Mix Championship. Pasm easily through there, no problems for him. So down in 6th place, and we got the final 2 GT3 cars in the pits. That's Fastest and Nick are only doing the driver change, and Fastest isn't. Nick's already left, so Nick isn't either. They continue on with the race. We need to go to Windfire because Windfire is about to get lapped by multiple LMP1 cars. Are you enjoying this so far? This is live commentary, of course. I've not done one of these in quite some time. It turned out to be April, and while we've missed a couple of mistakes from drivers, we have seen lots of action already, and we still got nearly 2 hours of this race to go. And I'm hoping the water will last me this 2 hours, because at the moment my voice is already going. As Windfire now comes onto the straight, and we can just hear the LMP1 car. There is Pokey. If we go on board Windfire, we might be able to see how fast these LMP1 cars actually are. As we've got Windfire. Look at that, straight through. No problems at all for these guys. And next up will be Dutchy, and then we'll have JF 52 again. Oh, there's a battle going on there. Let's jump to that battle. That's Dutchy and JF 52, and they're going to have Windfire in the way as well. Dutchy taking a nice line through that last corner there. And Windfire goes to the right, lets them through. Both passing on the left, but is JF 52 going to make a move into the first corner? That's very close. Let's jump on with JF 52, goes to the left, full on power, down towards the first corner. And no overtaking done there so far. Into the left, out they come. And Dutchy gets a much better exit. Increases that gap by 1/10, if not nearly 2 tenths. To JF 52. We'll stay on this battle for now. It's the closest battle on circuit at the moment. And one that is going to be very interesting indeed. Down towards the hairpin now. Let's jump on board JF 50. Shame we can't have cockpit cam, but all the same we can at least view this bonnet cam. Doesn't use all the circuit there, which is quite interesting. See his lap times there, very consistent. To say it's the Nurburgring 24-hour layout, you know, longer circuit than the Nordschleife. Got 704.6, 703.0 and a 704.9. So very, very consistent driving there by JF 52. And you can see it by sector times. That was a minus 0.020. So, you know, if you can be that consistent at the Nordschleife and the GP circuit, you're doing very well indeed. You can just see Pokey's nameplate just go onto the Nordschleife as they finish the chicane there. So they're not too far away from that second place spot. And you just see how much JF 52 is struggling with getting that power down there. Very hard out of that corner, and has lost a fair amount of time to Dutchy. This comes into the left-hander, then the right. Then we'll have another right, into the left, then the right. Let's see how JF Rod handles this. Not too bad. Not using all the track. Looks like he's trying to stay consistent. As I say, those lap times are very consistent, as we can see. But let's go to the actual TV camera. yeah, that battle is not happening at the moment. Podium 16.5 seconds ahead of Pokey. In fact, I think this is about the time that we want to have a look at the live timing screen. Let's have a look at what's going on. Fastest laps, last laps. Here it all is. Pokey with the fastest lap, 2 tenths ahead of Podium. However, on that last lap, we have Pokey 3 seconds down on Podium. Third place, another 2 seconds down on Pokey. JFR 52 with quite a quick lap actually there. Eraser with a very fast last lap actually. It's 7:01.7. I'm not sure why his last lap is not his best lap. Perhaps that's due to a penalty of some kind or cutting the circuit. But even so, 7:01.7. He's trying to get that 16-second gap as we mentioned earlier. So we can look at the track map. Everybody all on the left side of the circuit. And yeah, not too many close battles. Although it looks like Podium's about to catch up to the Group 3 cars. And it looks like Argon might be very close to Mr. Labrat there as well. So let's get back to the action with Podium. Let's jump on board Podium actually, and let's have a look how he handles these Group 3 cars. So here we go. You can just see Argon in the distance there. Now you can see the speed difference as well. Look at this. Flies by the Group 3 car there. Absolutely screams past. Into the left-hander. Going to catch fast ass. Ooh, quite an awkward point on the circuit. Ooh, bit of confusion there. Goes on the inside there and through. Podium goes. Next up is Mr. Labrat. Let's see how Mr. Labrat is handled. Very interesting selection of nationalities we've got here. Obviously the splits are done based on a variety of things. And Mr. Labrat is easily past there. Nice and easy for Podium. That's all well and good. And what we'll do is we'll go with Pokey. No, we want the TV camera again. Let's get that. There we go. And let's see what Pokey can do with the Group 3 cars. Remember, Pokey hasn't done the tyre change yet, and you can see his fuel, so his tyres aren't that bad in my opinion in the grand scheme of it. He's done 2 701s, and obviously now his tyres are struggling a little bit, so he's done a 705. Now this is where Pokey's got to look at, is it worth changing tyres each time or not. Now for me, nice move down the inside there of Argon. So he's lost 4 seconds potentially on the last lap. He saved 4 seconds in the pit stop. That means this lap he's going to lose at least another 4 seconds potentially. Although he's only 1.7 down. So is it worthwhile? You know, this is where all the strategy comes in. All the maths on what is happening on this circuit at the moment. I think Eraser is all on his own down on the GP circuit at the moment. If you look at the top right on the map, Eraser all on his own without a care in the world. Other than trying to get as close to that 5-minute mark so we can at least race Podium. So, Pokey's in a bit of a tight situation there. Slight contact there, but through he goes. So, fastest is having a bit of contact. And again, Pokey. We saw Pokey have a mistake earlier on at that mini carousel. Didn't do it this time, fortunately for him. As he now heads towards the back straight, this very long back straight, to overtake Mr. Labrat at some pace as well. You can just see the slipstream going full out here, down the left hand side, nice and easy. So then we've got Dutchy, who's got a 2-second gap to JFR 52. Okay, that was just JFR 52 overtaking the back marker there. And Dutchy down the inside of Mr. Labrat. And actually about to improve on his lap. If we see Podium is in the pits, and Dutchy is very close to empty on his tank of fuel, so he's timed this to perfection to get there, unless he runs out of fuel beforehand. Through the left hand, and into the pits. Just makes it with like 0. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect strategy. So we've got everybody in at the moment. We'll see if anyone's doing their driver change. Podium is not. So Podium, tyres and fuel again. He's dropped it a little bit more. So last time he knocked it down a tiny bit. Now he's done it a tiny bit more again, which is interesting. Again, that's more time saving, of course. The less you have to fuel up, the more time you can gain on circuit. And of course, fuel has a weight. So again, the lighter your car, the faster you can go. Dutchy, no change there. Again, very a short field quite a lot this time. Obviously knows what he's doing. JFrog 52. Filled up a little bit more. Anybody not change the tyres? I didn't actually check that. Solonite's coming out as well. So no driver changes at the moment, or simulated driver changes. As I said, that's a 5-minute stop. In fact, talking about that, how far is Eraser off Podium? It's 5 minutes and 13 seconds. Now, Podium's just been in the pits, so the fact it's 13 is interesting. That could be to do with the splits, but we'll have to wait and see. As you see, the gap to Solnex is 4 minutes 38 seconds. That means that at the moment, Eraser is ahead of Solnex. Let's see how far Eraser would go up. So, he would overtake JFrog 52, Dutchy, and I think Eraser will come out around where Pokey is at the moment if all the other LMP1 cars do their simulated driver swap. So as we've not got a huge amount of action going on in the LMP1 category, we'll have a look at Nick. So of course Nick was in that Canadian Championship that's recently happened that had Tom Brooks commentating. Tom Brooks, absolutely quality commentator. I think it was AR 21 or 12. Apologies, whichever way around that is. It was a really great event to watch, so I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed watching it. And you can see the same livery that was used there right here. Ooh, Nick making a mistake there. That's interesting. Don't want too many of those. Mr. Labrat isn't that far behind. So, yeah, that's Nick for you. Then we have Mr. Labrat. So, this GT3 category still very close to each other. So Mr. Labrat, I can't actually see what's on the back of that car. I wonder if we can get chase cam and actually see it. Chase cam. There we go. No, I still can't read it. He loves something, not sure what it is. But all the same, what a cracking livery. Put your message across. Oh, as we have Pokey coming right by there. And well, that means we'll jump to Dutchy, because Dutchy is going to be under all sorts of pressure from JFrog 52. I wonder what's happened to Dutchy here. So Dutchy's had a bit of an issue. Oh, loses the rear end there. And JFrog 52 all over the back of Dutchy now as they come down the hill. They're going to have a back marker as well with Mr. Labrat. What's going to happen here? This could cause all sorts of carnage because they're going to catch him in really the wrong place. Oh, it's tight. It's very tight. All single file through there. Oh, Mr. Labrat lets them go. Fair play to Mr. Labrat through Dutchy, and JFrog 52 goes. Labrat looks like he made an error letting them through there. Of course, it's very tight, that section of the circuit, and Mr. Labrat looks like he's going to come under all sorts of pressure from, I think that was Argon. Was it Argon? Fastus, sorry. Fastus. Keep forgetting Fastus. I apologise. Oh, we've got a yellow flag. Somebody's had an issue somewhere. Oh, it's contact as well. Who's had an issue? It's Dutchy and JFrog 52. They've had a crash. That's unbelievable. Let's jump to that action. It looks like JFrog 52 is waiting for Dutchy. So JFrog 52 went for that move just as we switched camera. Unfortunately, he's gone for that move. Not a place where I would make the move, so he's let Dutchy back through there. That was unbelievable. I cannot believe we missed that. I cannot believe we actually missed that. It was very close. And I thought JFrog 52 was going to stay right behind Dutchy. Of course, that didn't happen. But the sportsmanlike conduct of GTPlanet shown there. JFrog 52 obviously made a mistake, made contact with Dutchy, and let Dutchy back through. However, they are now neck and neck again, so this battle will continue. And we are not going to leave this battle now until it happens. In fact, let's just check Mr. Labrat, because he was close with Mr. Fastas. Which one should we go for? We'll keep an eye on both. Oh, we're going to have all 4 of them. Let's jump to Dutchy, because we're going to have all of them on the camera at the exact same time. We saw the yellow flag. It's a shame we don't get an alert to this yellow flag. As Eraser comes in the pits with 3% fuel, as here we go. This is going to be battle with battle on this straight. So it should be easy for the LMP car. Oh, there's a bit of a mistake there. And Fastas letting them go now. JF 52 stuck behind Fastas. As we've got Mr. Labrat now letting them go on the left side. Dutchy onto the grass there to overtake. Oh, JF 52 onto the grass as well. But through he goes. Oh, there's contact with the barrier. Mr. Labrat had contact with the barrier there. Now got under all sorts of pressure on Mr. From Fastas. Fastas through into 8th position. What a move there by Fastas. Took advantage of Mr. Labrat's issue into the barrier. And all change in the GT3 class there for Fastas and Mr. Labrat. I knew that was going to happen with the LMP cars there as well. So all sorts of carnage happening. We're not even an hour into this race, and we've had all sorts of craziness already. So absolutely cracking stuff. Let's just have a look at strategy for these guys. So as we look at Mr. Labrat, they look like they're probably going to come in this lap fuel-wise. Fastas much further in front. So Fastas obviously been saving fuel more and on a slightly different strategy to Mr. Labrat there. So he's going to increase that gap because he's got fresher tyres. Right, whoo, have a bit of a breather again now. So Solnex stayed quiet in this race and is currently up to 3rd position. JF 52 Dutchy incident, and JF 52 is actually overtaken Dutchy, which means Dutchy's made an error somewhere, 3 seconds behind. And we're going to assume that was at the carousel. So that's another change of position. Wow, this has been intense stuff. I've got to say, apologies for missing some of the action. We don't get alerted to when something's happening other than the yellow flag, and the minute I saw that I was staying on the individual to see who it was, because we'd already missed the accident at that point. So we've got Dutchy now about to come up to Nick. Let's see how Dutchy handles Nick here. Round the left hand side, nice and easy. And through Dutchy goes. So, Eraser all on his own there. We've had a look at the Group 4s in quite a while. Let's go to Group 4s. Sorry if you see me switching cars like I am. Windfire with a commanding lead. 42 seconds. Unbelievable effort from Windfire at the moment. As I say, he was a leading challenger in that GT300 Triple Mix Championship, the last championship I commentated on, and he's certainly showing a commanding performance here in a cracking livery as well. I've got to say, the green and black looks very nice there. It's fair play to Windfire using all the track as well. Alex Menos, 30 seconds ahead of Meisterfetz. That gap's ever increasing to start the race. I've just spotted TRL Eraser's done a 6:59.9. He is on form here and looks like he's pushing to try and overtake Pasm with the simulated driver change. So that's going to be very interesting later on in the race. We then have Meisterfetz, who looks like he's had a few issues here and there. Look at that rear end. It's definitely had a hit on a barrier somewhere. Currently 4.6 seconds up on his lap time, so it's going to improve all the same. We've now had a look at our leader in a while. 3 attempts up on his lap time. Again, looks like he's had an issue somewhere with a penalty cut of some kind, because it's red lap there. But I do love that livery in yellow. Of course, it's basically the Porsche livery, but in yellow. And then I'm not sure whether he's added a few extra stickers here and there. Pasm currently leading the way. Oh, it looks like somebody's in the pits. Mr. Labrat in the pits, 4% fuel. And we'll see if Argon can actually get ahead of Mr. Labrat. Let's see if there's a simulated driver change first. Into the pits we go. There's action on the car, so no simulated driver change. So what's going to happen here with Argon? Argon's just coming down the slight left on the straight, coming into the tight technical section. Look at that mouse on Mr. Labrat. Oh, it'll be a rat, won't it? Not a mouse. Duh. Oh, cracking. Mr. Labrat easily out in front of Argon there. So it continues on all the same. So it's going to be about a 10-second gap. Is it a 10-second gap? Oh, look at that. I can judge distance on the map. Oh, it's 12 seconds. Argon, in fact, might be in the pits. No. So we're looking for battles now on circuit. We don't currently have any. So this might be a good time to actually talk a little bit more about, unless anyone lapping anybody? No, everyone's miles apart at the moment. So let's have a talk about this event, shall we? So first of all, of course, as I was mentioning earlier, Podium was lapping the LMP cars when Dutchy joined a lobby. Obviously, that's a bit crazy of Podium to do that. So they joined up. Podium said try it. Turned out to be fun. The idea grew from there. So 15 years of the WRS that we've had. Of course, I've competed in the WRS many times. I'll get into that a little bit later on. But even so, they wanted a bit of a multi-class style of event because multi-class is excellent fun. So they looked to add the GT3 class. Then we of course have the Ring Rats, which is a group of drivers or a group of people on GTPlanet who love the Nurburgring. And they, every Sunday and Tuesday night, I believe that's right, race Group 4 cars on the ring. So alas, we ended up with 3 classes on circuit. LMP1, GT3, GT4 category. Another called Group 3, Group 4 category. I call them GT3, GT4. So that's how we ended up with the 3 classes. It's unfortunate we can't have more drivers. Perhaps having the 24 grid limit that the top 24 Superstars has just allows a few more cars to be on circuit, because currently it's very spread out. But if you remember back in the days of Gran Turismo 3, Gran Turismo 4, there were 6 cars on the Nordschleife. So we've obviously jumped ahead from that point, had more cars on circuit, so that's good. So with the push of the technology, we should end up with more and more cars on the grids and on screen, and having some absolute cracking races. As you see, Podium is 6 tenths up on his lap time, so he is doing 6:57. So if you have a look at TRL Eraser, actually, 5 minutes 10. That gap is continually being closed. 10 seconds to go for Eraser, and then that is going to be a very, very tight driver change simulation for Podium. So I hope you enjoyed that little talk about how this event has grown from nothing to something. Of course, Porsche finally in the GT series, which is sort of convenient at the time of the anniversary of the WRS. So that's another reason why we're using Porsche. And Porsche, of course, got many different categories of cars. We've got the GT3 car, got the GT4 car, got the LMP1 car that you're looking right now at of Eraser with that Team Red Line livery. And at the moment, definitely going to overtake Dutchy when Dutchy does his driver simulation. Through he goes. I'm just going to have a drink as you enjoy Eraser pushing along in that LMP1 car. Now we've had that little breather, let's have a look what's going on with the Group 3 category. We've got Nick there leading by 19 seconds from Fastas. Let's have a look at strategy between them. A very similar strategy there, fuel and all, so that's definitely a 19-second gap. There's no different strategies going on between these two drivers. Mr. Labrat, he is on a different strategy, much fresher tyres at this point. Currently 30.7 seconds behind Fastas, and that gap is slowly decreasing because, of course, fresher tyres. And then we've also got Argon in 10th position, and Argon 16.2 seconds behind Mr. Labrat. Now we're an hour into the race, and Windfire is only 1 minute 27 seconds behind the GT3 class. So potentially we're not going to have any lapping of GT3 and GT4 cars, which is very interesting because that would have got very tight on circuits, I imagine. Very, very, very tight. If we go to that Group 4 category, we've got Windfire, 46 seconds ahead of Alex and Menos, and that keeps growing that gap. If we look at strategies, they're on the same strategy. That's Windfire's pure pace. Windfire, a very cracking driver. I've mentioned it a couple of times now. Very cracking driver. So fair play to Winfight at the moment. Alex Menos still doing a good job. Keeping ahead of Meisterfetz. That gap increasing slowly but surely to Meisterfetz. So fair play. As we do see a faster slap from Pokey. Now, how far is Pokey? 26 seconds. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Pokey with the fastest lap of the race at the moment. In fact, Pazum did his fastest lap of the race there. And Pokey beat it. So that gap is actually closing. Solonex with a 7 minutes 0.7. So a bit slower there. JFrog 52 now with a large gap to Dutchy. And Dutchy going over to his pit side there, looking for any messages. Of course, if that was real life. And yeah, it's a nice livery by Dutchy there as well. It sort of uses the Porsche design, but with the red, white and blue of the nationality of Dutchy, of course. Let's jump to Pazum. Let's look at Pazum for a little while as the race is quieting down just a little bit. In fact, somebody on track is actually really close. Who the heck is that? That's not 8. Eraser is just catching up to Alex Amenos here. So we'll stay on Eraser because Eraser is going to be... oh, that's tight. Oh, there's contact between the two. Oh, there's more contact. Obviously, that was said in the driver briefing... overtake on the left, so that's what Eraser was trying to do, but Alex stayed to the left there, so that caused a bit of confusion. That's going to cost Eraser some time, so you can see it's got up to 5.12 and it was down to 5.10 or possibly even 5.9, but last time we checked 5.10. Needs to get that 12-second gap back down again. Unfortunate, but that's sort of the story with traffic. We'll see how Eraser gets on with the next driver, which is going to be Windfire, a little bit further in the lap. So I suppose one thing we can talk about while we have this little lull in the race at the moment is, of course, we are looking at one of the GT Academy finalists, Eraser. We did have Adam in as well, GT Academy finalist. We've had all sorts of GT Academy finalists racing in this, racing in Room B, etc. And, you know, that shows the level of this field. Now, I can honestly say GT Academy is one of the best experiences I've ever done. And I imagine those guys will say the same. Yes, it went a bit TV orientated towards the end, however, it's still a cracking opportunity. It's for free. You race on GT. That's all you got to do to enter the GT Academy. It's unfortunate that it's sort of disappeared. Hopefully either Nissan or somebody else, perhaps Porsche. We're looking at Porsche right now. Perhaps they can get on board, because as we've seen in other competitions now, not just with GT Academy, virtual does translate to reality. Alonso's got his own sim racing team now with G2. Of course, looking at TRL, TRL has Max Verstappen in. You know, there's real racing drivers joining these esport teams and creating esport teams and, you know, getting to these tournaments because there's talent there in virtual racing. You've got to remember, virtual racing are much lower cost to enter than real motorsports. So the talent pool is much bigger, so that's why on these leaderboards, these time trial leaderboards, GT Academy is the perfect example. You know, you can get the top 25 and they're covered by less than 3 tenths in some situations. I remember 2012, top 5 in UK were separated by under a tenth. 1/10 separating an entire lap. Unbelievable, but that's how close it is. As you can see, Eraser is now catching up to Windfire on this back straight. Which is going to be interesting where he's going to catch him. I think he'll fly by at the end of the straight. Perhaps no, I don't think he's going to get there. You just see Windfire with that cracking green and black livery. 205 miles an hour, 206, 27, 28. Now downhill, 29, 210, 211. We're going to hit 212. We are not. Oh, he's going to catch him in a really nice place actually, just as we come onto the start-finish straight. So fair play to Eraser. Windfire goes to the right, Eraser to the left, as per driver briefing. Through they go, all happy days, and another lap completed. To say Eraser got held up by Alex, that's still a cracking time of 7:01.6. But as you can see on the map, the field is extremely spread out at the moment. Sorry about this, just another drink. Your throat just dries up when you commentate. So when you watch like the Canadian Championship that's just happened, and of course there's going to be more races and more championships being streamed for GT Sport. Hopefully I'll be racing in some of those, not just commentating. Although I do love the commentating as well. As you know, if I could do both it'd be mega. But there's going to be more events, and when you see these guys commentating for 2, 3, 4 hours and then they have to take a 5-minute break in it, that's a relevant 5 minutes. That's where you literally hydrate your body again to get ready for more commentary and to continue on with that. As I say, the recent GT Sport live stream that happened with that championship with the Porsches, unbelievable, unbelievable. I mean, there weren't. Oh, Eraser's made a huge mistake into that complex there. I'm glad we're on Eraser. But he manages to get away with that as Podium comes in the pits. But as I say, that championship was extremely awesome to watch. Let's go to Podium now. Let's see if this is a simulated driver change. 4% fuel, so it worked out perfectly. We've got tyre change again, so no simulated driver change just yet. Fuel going in. Let's see how Podium does now. See if he short fields again. As Pokey comes in the pits, which is expected. Now, if any of these do a driver change simulation, it'll be very interesting. 93%, so he just increased his fuel load a bit more than last time. So he obviously misjudged the previous one. Look at Pokey. Nobody's touching the car. This is a simulated driver change. This is perfect because now we get to see what happens with Eraser, where Eraser is on circuit. So Solonek's coming in. What's happening with Solonek's? Again, another simulated driver change. We've got 2 of them going on at this point in time. JF Rod 52 into the pits. What's going to happen with JF Rod 52? Pit crew out into the pit lane. Oh, we've got pit crew commencing work on the car there. Fuel going on. We saw the tyre change, so that's tyre change definitely happening. Dutchy is also in the pits. Pit crew getting to work there as well. It's going to be interesting between JF Rod 52 and Dutchy. Are they going to do different strategies? JF Rod 52 already out the pit lane. Dutchy is not. However, one person I do want to go on for this next part is Eraser. Because after, well, when he gets around to start-finish straight, I imagine he's going to be extremely close to Pokey and Solonek's. It could actually be even ahead. But as you see, that mistake earlier on in the lap that we saw cost Eraser 4 seconds. And he's now 5 minutes 17 behind Podium. So Eraser can't afford to make any more mistakes here. He really, really, really can't. If he does make any more mistakes, it could be game over. It really could. As he continues on now in this fast section up to the sharp right-hander. And through he goes. That's all good. God, this is going to be very close when they get there. Very, very close. Oh, someone's gone for a spin somewhere. Who's that? How can I find this person? It's a GT3 car, I think. Nope. Nick! Nick just went for a spin there. Not sure what happened, but Nick just went for a spin. He's got. He's coming in the pits this lap. That gap now down to 25 seconds. I say not sure what happened. Just span on that corner there. We did see the green flags waving just as he left that section. So a bit of pressure getting to Nick there. 18 seconds. So you can see that's where the time was gained. And that doesn't help Nick actually, because fastest was on a fast lap. So he was, yeah, on a quick one. Let's jump back to Eraser, because that's where the key strategy is. No, Eraser is number 6. And let's see what happens with Eraser. I say Razor can't make any mistakes. If he makes any mistakes now, the victory is sliding from him. He's got to just put his head down and focus. He's got half the race to go. We're effectively nearly halfway. 3 minutes to go to the halfway mark. And then from there, we'll see what Eraser can do. Into the right-hander. And then the next part, onto the straight. And he could catch somebody up on this straight here. We saw him hit 211 previously. Nick's obviously coming in the pits, I imagine. Yep, just coming out the pits. Fast ass. Is that filling up? I don't think that's filling up, you know. I think he's doing a simulated driver change. So let's jump back to Eraser anyway, because we are focused on this battle for second position and net second between these two drivers. And through he goes. Oh, he's actually coming into the pits. That's interesting. I should have noticed that with the fuel. But this means this could be all changed. This is very interesting. Is there work going on Pokey's car? No, work is not going on Pokey's car. Let's have a look. The work begins now. No work going on. Oh, this could be very close. We've got a battle of the pit crews here. So, fuel going in for each of these drivers. Solonex as well. Nope, nothing happening on Solenex's car. It's going to be very close. I think Eraser's going to come out just ahead. Only just so. As they get ready to leave the pits. There we go. Eraser's released. Pokey's released. As they leave the pits. Eraser's made it. 2-second gap to Pokey. Well played, Eraser there. So, Eraser into 4th position at the moment. I reckon he's going to be net second after all of this, and he's just got to push to get into that lead. Wow, what an interesting situation that's happened there. Solnex now about to leave the pits. Now Solnex is of course racing Dutchy and JFR 52, so when they do their simulated driver change, that again will get very interesting indeed. All sorts happening at the moment. And I think Eraser will be quite happy with that. Only being 18 seconds now down effectively on Pasm. With half the race to go, that can be made up with some serious effort. Is anybody due in the pits as we race through the grid? I love those lights on the cars. Just make all the difference. Those little touches are just fantastic. So we've got to keep an eye on Pokey with Eraser, because Pokey has got the fastest lap. So you know, Pokey could actually catch Eraser here. We've seen Eraser make a few mistakes, so we've got to keep that in mind. We're just whizzing through, see if anyone's coming in the pits. Mr. Labrat is going to be coming in the pits at the end of this lap. Number 9. Oh, we've got 2 people in the pits there. We've got Argon. He's doing his driver change. We know Fastas is doing his driver change. I thought we'd lost Windfire then, but no, Windfire's overtaken the GT3 cars because they're doing their driver change. So this is the point in the race where everything gets all very confusing. I could do with knowing who starts work on their car, because I imagine these Group 3 cars are actually going to overtake the Group 4 cars at some point, depending on driver changes and everything else that's going to happen. Is anyone close on circuit? Someone's close on circuit. Oh, it's just Pokey in Eraser. Let's get back to... I'm trying to get back to... Fastest. There we go. Still no work happening on the car. Meisterfet's in the pits as well. Let's see if Meisterfet's goes for the simulated driver change in that Group 4 car. Yep, there we go. Simulated driver change for Meister Vet's halfway through the race. So I imagine he'll go for a break, maybe grab a drink, something like that, go to the toilet, and then get back to it. It's unfortunate that I can't go to the loo, even though I'm drinking the most. But there we go. All the fun and games of a commentator. So, who is the best person to look at? I think we've looked at a race for quite a while. So let's have a look at Pokey and see if he can make any ground on Eraser. It's that gap up to 2.5 seconds now. 2.6. So that gap ever increasing. So Eraser is really on a mission at the moment. A serious, serious mission. You can see on the right side actually with Pokey's lap times, 12:24. So it shows you that the 5 minutes was pretty much adhered to because a pit stop does not take an extra whatever time that is to do. Let's have a look in the GT3 class, because Nick was having a few issues. Certainly doing okay at the moment. 13 seconds to Mr. Labrat. Mr. Labrat's on a different strategy. As you can see there, completely different strategy to everybody else. So when we get round to nearer the end of the race, in an hour's time, we will see where Mr. Labrat actually is. Now, Fastas is now out the pits. 2 minutes to Alex Amenos. I don't think he's going to catch him though, actually. So I don't think anything will change in terms of Group 3 cars lapping or overtaking Group 4 cars. But let's go back to our battle with Pokey. And he's completely off the track. We caught him at the complete wrong time there. So that was at the carousel. It's made a bit of a hash of that one. And he's now miles behind Eraser. That's unfortunate for Pokey. We seem to catch Pokey at the complete wrong times. And we've done that again. So he's lost a fair bit of time to Solnex because of that incident. Trying to look for any cars who... Oh, somebody's gone for a spin somewhere, I think, on the map. Or, nope, that's just the arrows. Arrows being arrows. Oh, in fact, Eraser is overtaking Group 3 cars. So he should be coming up to Nick, because we know Mr. Labrat was behind Nick by 13 seconds. In fact, Eraser's going to catch him in the absolute perfect place on the straight. Just what you want, really. I think Pokey's going to catch up to Mr. Labrat a bit earlier than that, though. You see that gap, 3 minutes 46 to Dutchy, and 16 seconds only to pass him now. Remember the 5 minutes driver change in there. So here we go on the straight. Look at the slipstream used. Nice and easy. Nick keeps his line. Eraser goes to the right. Bob's your uncle. Through he goes. All well and good. So we need to go to 5th place. There we go. Pokey just going past Mr. Labrat in the same place. Fair dues. All fun and games. But it's possible that Pokey could catch Nick at the wrong time. But I think he might catch him on the start-finish straight. And that'd be nice and easy for him. We'll stay on Pokey just for now. So across the start-finish line, start the next lap. 7:14. You can see how much that affected him, that incident at the carousel. Could catch Nick in a... I thought he would have caught Nick by now, but apparently not. So Nick is just up ahead of Pokey. Let's jump on board. I want to go on board. There we go. Definitely thought he would have caught up to Nick on the start-finish straight. Mr. Labrat's in the pits. Of course, Mr. Labrat doing a different strategy to everybody else. Well, everyone in that category at least. As we've got Nick coming around the hairpin now. Looks like Nick is just letting him go straight away. Fair play to Nick. Good, sensible driving there. And through Pokey goes. So we've got Solnex next, who is going to be chasing... Oh, it'd just be Nick, I believe, because of course Mr. Labrat is in the pits. Where is Podium in all of this? He's on his own up front, of course. No one's near him really. There is a fairly close battle going on in some form of category here. I don't know who that is. Dutchy and Alex Amenos. So we'll just go to Dutchy here. See what Dutchy does to get past Alex. Ooh, into the gravel Alex goes. Just got a bit nervous with the LMP1 car there. So Dutchy through. Another back marker. Now Alex is... ooh, that's Argon is out the pits. This gets confusing when you get GT3 and 4 drivers all over the place. So a 1 minute 4 seconds behind Windfire has just dominated that class, really has. And yeah, he's doing a good job. In fact, let's have a look. Is Mr. Labrat doing his driver change? He is indeed. So Mr. Labrat doing his simulated driver change. So we'll see where he comes out versus Argon and GTP Fastass. That'll be interesting. But nobody else is relatively close to anybody. And I think we're in a bit of a lull again. So what can we talk about during this lull? Well, let's talk about the WRS itself. So obviously I mentioned it was started 15 years ago. And this is the 15th anniversary. Do you want to know the combo? Toyota Supra at Trail Mountain. It was called Superman, and that was the first time trial. In fact, it was done on, because I've got it open. Is that Gran Turismo 3? I think it is Gran Turismo 3. But compare the post then to now, it's quite funny, because now you've got all the rules and regs and stuff like that. Back then it was just a very simple, don't do this, don't do that, do this, off you go. So it was all good. And yeah, so it started off with a Toyota Supra on Trail Mountain. Of course, Trail Mountain not in GT Sport. I imagine it would have been a cracking race if it was held there. Fortunately not in, but of course Kaz has said he wants the classic tracks back in GT, so potentially we will see them again. Let's have a look at my notes. I've got loads of notes here written down, it's crazy. Of course, WRS is not just the time trials. I didn't even need my notes for this because I already know this because I've done it before. So obviously you've got the time trial events. That was what it was based on originally because we didn't have the internet, you know, the networks, playing online. Well, we did sort of via LAN, but however, we've not just got the time trials. There are online races. So what usually happens is you do a combo for a time trial. You do that, all's well and good. You then, the next week after, do the race of that combo, which is very good because you learn the combo then, you put a lot of effort into that, you then do the race and you can have good fun. And of course we've got the specials that happen with the WRS. You're watching it right now, one of the specials, 15th anniversary, and you can, what you're watching in Razor at the moment, 11 seconds now down on Podium, net down that is, so we could have a really cracking finale to this race. But yeah, so they do specials, they do online races, they do TTs, they also do all sorts of different stuff on GTPlanet generally. You know, there's casual racing on the Friday, it's called Friday Night Beer Rooms. So they're just having a laugh, racing, testing new combos out, what works, what doesn't work, anything like that really. All good fun. So, you know, if you want to compete in any of these, you're watching this, you're going, I want to do that, I can do that. Or you might be watching it going, I can't compete with Eraser, what's going on? Don't worry, there's 3 lobbies. You can pick, you know, you get set in a set lobby. Same with the time trials. You don't you're competing overall, but you're also competing against your division. So you win your division, you go up divisions. WRS, you know, you can start off in Division 4, end up in Division 1 Gold. There's multiple divisions inside divisions. I think I'm a silver driver. I need to get on to try and push myself into gold. But even so, again, you can build yourself up. And there's been loads of drivers. Dutchy is a good example of where they've come in a lower division and pushed themselves all the way through WRS. And look at Dutchy now. He's in third place currently in this race, having a good old race, putting in some cracking laps, and having a good time. And he's improved throughout on WRS. He loves WRS. I love WRS. I've improved on WRS. You know, I've done time trials in WRS and actually improved myself as well. My favourite one, or one from memory, was Rome, where I won Rome. I think it was in a rally car, the Suzuki Swift rally car in GT6, I think, and I won by like half a tenth or something like that. Something crazy anyway. But you know, winning that, you just see Pokey in the distance there. I had to push and push myself and really learn. As the race is about to get a new fastest lap for himself. Not the fastest lap of the race though. Through he goes. And across the line. And that's going to be 6:59? 6:57.8. Okay, it is a new fastest lap of the race. 6:57.8. Eraser is on a mission. As I was saying though, with the WRS, it's well worth taking part. So if you're looking for a community to race in, highly recommend the WRS. So, Pazum about to come onto the back straight. Nobody is really close to anybody at the moment. Everyone is really spread out. This is where we could do with the larger grids. Of course, the Nurburgring 24-hour has multiple classes and multiple grid starts. I think when I watched it, there was like 50 cars per grid start, and there were 3 grid starts. And, you know, you're talking 150, 200 cars on circuit. We've only got 13 left here. Of course, we lost Adam and Crispy, unfortunately, earlier on. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but we keep racing. Look at Pazum's optimum there, 6:55.9. That would be a bloody good lap. As we watch Pazum come into this section here. Round he goes, on to the start, finish straight. What lap time's Pazum done? Oh, he goes into the pits. Of course he goes into the pits. I was not looking at his fuel in the slightest. So, pass him into the pit. He's going to do his driver change. This could get interesting. No work is going on that car. It's the simulated driver change. And this is going to get seriously interesting between Pazum and Eraser. We'll see on GFROD 52 because he will be coming in this lap as well. But the race is about to begin. 1 hour and 30 minutes into this race. And this is going to get tight. So GF1 for 2 at the end of the straight. Round he goes into the pits. What does he do in the pits? What does he do? Is it a simulated driver change? Are we going to see now what the grid looks like for the LMP1 class? We are indeed. It's the final one for the LMP1s. It's going to get tight. Let's jump now down to 7th place. This grid looks very interesting down here because we've got a GT3 car in 7th of Nick, who's 3 minutes 17 ahead of Windfire, who's in a Group 4 car. Very interesting. Of course, those two aren't really going to see each other on track. We then have Fastest in the Group 3 car. Now, how far behind Nick is he? So he's 2:13 behind Windfire, and Windfire 3:18, so that's 5:35. So he's 35 seconds down on Nick currently. He's Fastest. That for quick math. I need that song. 2 + 2 is 4. -1, 3 is 3. Quick math. Blah blah. So we got GTP Fastest. You know, 35 seconds down on Nick. Then we go to 10th place position. We got Mr. Labrat, who is a fair old way behind Fastest and a fair old way ahead of Argon 56 currently. And Mr. Labrat in 10th position. I love that rat on the side of his car. I think that's epic. Ooh, just running a bit wide there. Heading towards the carousel. Who's that behind him, actually? Is that a GT3 car of a GT4 car? I don't know who's on track. Let's go to the live timing screen. I think we have a map on here and we can see a bit more what's going on. So we're on 10th place position and we've got Eraser coming up behind him. So let's go. Let's stay on that. Oh, he lets him go nice and easy there. That's fair enough. And that will mean Eraser. We've shown Eraser a lot, actually. I don't mean to. I'm just going on the person that is the most interesting. And Eraser's about to become very interesting in this race because he is challenging Pasm for the victory at the moment. Now, he's got 11 seconds of a difference to Pasm, but the second half of this race is going to get pretty tight. So you can see he's pushed on the last lap. That was a 6:57. We need a split time here for Eraser just to see how hard he's pushing this lap. Remember that gap was up to 18 seconds at one point because he made a mistake at the start of the Nordschleife. And you can see how much he's pushing. Every inch of that track is being used by TRL Eraser. Into the right hand that we go. And up to the left. Going to be catching up to GTP Fastest next. I'm going to get him on the straight as well, which is the perfect scenario. Get that little bit of extra slipstream, get that little bit of extra mile an hour that is needed in this race. A little extra counts. Up to 5:12 now on the time, so Eraser's lost a bit of time. He's going to be coming in the pits this lap actually. Oh, this is like the ultimate situation that they want. It's who's going to come out the pits first. It could be... No, he's going to come out... Well, what we actually have here, and I didn't realise, is we've got Eraser with Pasm, but we've got Dutchy and JFR52 with Pokey and Solonex. So it's all going to get interesting as Eraser just goes down the inside of Fast-Ass, down that slight left-hander, into this complex of corners, into the braking zone, hard on the brakes, down to second gear, through the right, into the left, into the pits, Eraser goes. And this is where it gets interesting. So, anyone working on Pasm's car? No work. There we go. Work is being done on Pasm's car right now. Eraser into the pits. Good few seconds later. So, there's going to be 12 seconds as suggested there. Now, we need to go to Pokey. Pokey in the pits. So now we're going to go Pokey and Dutchy. So we're on Dutchy. Any work happening on the car? Now. No. Pasm is out the pits. Pokey, work's going on. No work going on Dutchy. So Pokey's going to come out ahead of those two drivers. But Solonex is also the interesting one. I think JFR52 was ahead of Dutchy. So, any work going on JFR52's car? Are we going to have... You can see Eraser's into second. Solonex in. Action going on. Sonic's going to come out ahead of JFR52, I think. So let's have a look at the gaps here. So 13 seconds between Pasm and Eraser. Now Eraser will be happy with that accomplishment because he was way down at one point and that gap has shrunk continuously. Now we're looking... Solonex has just come out the pits. So Solonex has a significant gap to JFR52 at the moment. A significant gap. But it's all going to get very interesting now. So we've got Pasm, who I think has just overtaken somebody perhaps? No. I'm trying to work out where all the Group 3 and Group 4 cars are in relation to everybody else as well. I can just hear one. I think that's going to be fastest. So live time in. Let's go to the track mode. That's 1. 1 has just passed 9. 2. So yes, Pasm's just overtaken fastest. We've got 2's overtaken 10, which is Mr. Labrat. 3 about to catch up to 10. This is quite handy, this map. 4's about to catch 11. 5's on their own. 6 is there. Where's 7? 7, 8. It's all very confusing, this. Let's jump to number 4 first of all, because 4 is about to catch. I think that's Mr. Labrat. We'll find out soon enough. You just see on the left hand side there, that was Adam and Crispy who got disconnected earlier on in the race. Very unfortunate. Oh, it's Argon. So Solonex through Argon. Let's go to Razor, because the Razor's about to catch up to another Group 3 car. In this fast section as well. He'll look to try and get an easy overtake. I don't think he's going to do it. They're going to hit the corner beforehand. Into the left. And then the right. Oh, he's going to get fastest in the perfect opportunity. Fastest lets him go. Goes to the right. See, that's sort of what they're on about with the driver briefing, but that was quite sudden. So you've got to be careful that as an LMP driver. The car suddenly darting to the right. You know, when I raced in multi-class racing, you sort of try and hope that the GT car stays predictable so that you can then make the move clean and fair. So, while all this has been going on, we've got Pokey, who's probably next to overtake somebody. Gap-wise, we've got JFrog52 18 seconds behind Solonex, but 34 seconds, 35 seconds ahead of Dutchy. So that could be an interesting battle towards the end of the race. We know JFrog52's got pace. If we have a look at the lap times between these two drivers, Solonex has had a few issues. Lap 11, 7:11. So he's had a few issues. But is actually the faster driver. Jump on board, jump with Pokey. You see the flames coming out the exhaust there. That looks pretty nice. And we continue on. So you're probably wondering why we got laps rather than a timer. We've got laps because we want to save the replay. So it's been predicted that we are going to get to lap 21. I'm not sure of the exact calculations myself, but somebody somewhere has done some maths. But I believe Pokey's going to catch up to fastest next. So that's why we are sticking with Pokey for now. Tell you what, I drank all this water. Oh, Pokey off the track. As I was about to say, I've drank all this water just to keep my throat lubricated, and I'm now dying for the loot, but I can't unfortunately go for another 40 minutes yet, so that'll have to do for now. There's Fast Ass. That's what we expected and anticipated. Nice and easy. Fastest stay to the right. Pokey to the left. All's good there. Nice easy place to overtake. So that is Pokey continuing on. Who's next up on the list? So Solnex is about to overtake Mr. Labrat first, and then it will be oh no, hang on, it's Argon, isn't it? No, Mr. Labrat. Thought it was Mr. Labrat. So how does Solnex handle this? Bit tight, but all done and dusted for Solnex. Next up is going to be GTP Fastest. staying on board with Solnex at the moment as he continues on with the lap of the Nordschleife at the moment before we get back onto the GP circuit. I predict that he's going to overtake the next Group 3 car before GF 52. Where's GF 52? Ooh, it's going to be tight between these two. Who gets to their Group 3 car first? So we'll jump between the two. So 4th place. It's going to be very tight. Who gets there first? I think Solnex is going to get it, but Solnex is going to get it in a really easy position. Oh, we'll go to JF 52 because he's going to catch Mr. Labrat in a really awkward spot on the mini carousel. Down the inside, through he goes. Has to take that very carefully because the line is compromised, but that's fine. Solnex through there. So, and we've got GTP Dutchy about to catch Argon, I think. Just heard the push just up ahead. There you go, there's the Porsche. Into the left-hander again at the mini carousel. Very awkward spot. Dutchy stays behind. Realizes it's a very awkward spot. Argon, letting him go. Fair play to Argon. It's where you could use with could do with an indicator on your car there, assigned to a button. But Dutchy through there. So we're gonna have JF 52 catch up to fastest next. So JF 52 about to catch the next Porsche GT3 car of GTP fastest. It could be an interesting spot here, the left and then the right, whether JF 52 goes for it. Fastest lets him go, fair enough. Oh, look at the light there, I love that. Did you see the light reflection there? That looked epic. So next on the list of overtakes is going to be Dutchy on Mr. Labrat, I think. And that will happen in the Nordschleife part of the circuit. I think, has somebody just gone in the pits there? No. I'm seeing things. But once again, we've got a few gaps appearing at the moment. By the way, if you're not aware, the WRS does have a YouTube channel. So, you know, all the start procedure, the driver simulation change, what to do, that's all put on the YouTube channel. They put videos out there, so it's well worth taking a look. It's in the description if you are interested. Do go and subscribe. It's well worth noting some of that content. In a little while, I'll probably talk about the actual GTPlanet trips. I've talked about the Le Mans trip that I went on in the past, but I know Dutchy and Pasm's been on one as well. In fact, let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it while it's a bit quiet in the race. So, Dutchy and Pasm went to Le Mans last year, or the last one that went. As you can just see, Dutchy catch up to Mr. Labrat. And for that Le Mans trip, they also went with Gravitron, and Patrick won. Let's just see Dutchy, easy pass there, coming up to Flugplatz. And that's basically 2 Europeans, 2 Americans from GTPlanet. As we just see, Nick has come in the pits. Is Nick going to do his driver change? But obviously, two different continents of players from GTPlanet meeting up, going to the Le Mans, and they actually went to the Nurburgring as well, and actually did some tourist laps, which is interesting. And as you see, Nick is doing his driver change. We believe, from the mass calculation we did earlier, that Nick is going to easily come out on top by about 40 seconds, I think. Just see, Eraser is about to catch up to Windfire, actually. That was a good timing. Through he goes. Windfire didn't give him too much room there, but even so, he made it through. Now, let's jump to Dutchy, because Dutchy was about to catch up to the next GT3 car, I think. But as I say, they went on that trip, and they met up. So that's the good part about GTPlanet. Oh, Dutchy making an error there into the barrier. Commentator's curse here. That's coming back from GT300 Triple Mix Championship, where I jump on a car and it crashes. God knows why that happens, but it does. But Dutchy into the barrier there. Continuing on now, though. Very unfortunate. Obviously, concentrating for 2 hours, 24 minutes, quite a challenge, especially if you're out on your own and you're really having to try and push. One thing we haven't done, actually, before we duck, is the gap. The gap is down to 12 seconds between first and second. So that gap is coming down, but not quick enough at the moment. If you look at last lap times, 1/10 on the last lap alone. That's all it was. So Eraser's going to have to really, really put the hammer down here to get that first position. Let's get back to Dutchy, because I think Dutchy's about to overtake one of the back markers. Actually, Dutchy's gone through there, past fastest, nice and easy. Gave him tons of room there, did Dutchy. Didn't probably need to give that much room, but through he's gone. And I suppose we better look at now Fast-Ass. Because, of course, Nick is in the pits. So what we'll do, oh, somebody's quite close to somebody here. Alright, so I think Pokey's just overtaken Alex, I believe. Let's go to Alex. No, it's not Alex. Meisterfetz. We've not been on Meisterfetz for a while, but somebody's overtaken somebody, because I've just noticed that. Oh, it'd be Windfire. Yes, it's Windfire. We'll figure it out eventually. Windfire coming in the pits this lap, so that won't have any impact on anybody else. I imagine Windfire's going to do his driver change, actually. But he was so far ahead before it. I imagine Windfire's just going to come out miles ahead. The key one here is going to be... where can we get it? There we go, Fast-Ass. And where he is in relation to Nick. So, Fast-Ass about to come onto the back straight now. Windfire coming in with 1% fuel, how about that? And probably doing his driver change. Right, so 7... No, he's not. He's not doing his driver change, so... Surely he's either forgotten or he's coming in again, perhaps. Keep an eye on that. But Fast-Ass is the driver we want to be interested in at the moment. Because is Fast-Ass going to overtake Nick? As I say, I think this is going to be a 40-second gap, give or take a few seconds. But we'll have to wait and see. Coming up to 1 hour 50 mark, basically, in another minute and 20 seconds. So they've been racing for quite some time now. Through the left. Nick's still not out the pits yet, so it's closer than 40 seconds. Closer than I thought it was. But of course, fastest is going to come in the pits as well, actually. Let's have a look at Nick. I think they're filling up that car. That looks like the fuel nozzle. Hosel? What's a hosel? Nozzle is on. Let's see what happens. Fastest is in the pits. Nick going now. So fastest about to come in the pits. See what happens. Did he go for tyre change? Yeah, full tyre change, full fuel, I imagine. This will be the last pit stop for Fastas. So then whatever the gap is what he needs to make up to try and win that class. Mr. Labrat also coming in. Mr. Labrat now on the same strategy as everybody else. Very interesting. Windfire is the only one I'm like interested in terms of pit stop strategy, because he's not done his driver change yet. And I suspected that was his last pit stop, but perhaps not. And if that's the case where he's done it by mistake, he's going to have to come in again, and that could change the standings in that Group 4 category. Keep that in mind for later on in the race. So Mr. Lab Rat out the pits. Fastas is 30 seconds from Nick, so not as far away as I thought. Podium 12.4 seconds, so he's holding that gap at the moment. Let's have a look at lap times. Eraser did catch up a little bit, but only 6/10 of a second. Even though the gap on the left has grown a little, so that just depends on the corner, of course. So Eraser is putting in the laps. Fastest lap of the race last lap as well, but not quite enough. He needs to go quicker. He needs to pull something out of somewhere. I don't know where. That mistake earlier on, if you remember earlier on in the race, he made a mistake at the start of the Nordschleife section. That cost him 4 seconds. That would have put him in 8 seconds. There was another mistake earlier on in the race as well. Another couple of mistakes, in fact. So that would have been with Podium at that point. But unfortunately, mistakes have cost him some time in this race so far. Let's look at Pokey. Pokey's all out on his own. 23 seconds behind Eraser. 26 seconds ahead of Solonex. 4th place. 23 seconds ahead of 5th place. JF Rod 52. Who is 44 seconds ahead of Dutchy. Dutchy about to overtake Windfire. Well, that was a good time in there. We'll watch that happen. Ooh, that's into the tight section there. Dutchy made a little mistake, lost it. Every time we come to Dutchy, he spins off. I apologise, Dutchy, in advance, but that was tight. Just going in there, put the brakes on, rear came round, into the barrier. Round he goes. Windfire lets him go there. So Dutchy now makes that pass on Windfire. Of course, that's not for position. That is just where they are on track. And let's go to our next driver. We've not looked at the Caymans at all for a while. In fact, I don't want to stay on Windfire, even though Windfire's doing a cracking job. I want to jump to a different driver. We've looked at Nick. We've looked at Fastas there. Gaps very large between these drivers. And then we've got Argon. We've got Alexa Mentos. And in fact, he's about to get lapped by somebody. Who's he about to get lapped by? That would be TRL Eraser. That seems to always happen as well. We seem to jump to a Group 4 car. So Alex there in that blue. Well, they're coming into the pits now, Alex, for a final pit stop. That will be. And then we got Meisterfetz really far behind here. Meisterfetz really struggled with this race. Don't think Meisterfetz will pit again either. Looking at this. Oh, just in the grass. Get off the grass there, Meisterfetz. Well played. Carry on. Could get interesting between Alex and Meisterfetz, actually. I'm not sure a pit stop is 1 minute and 17 seconds long, however. I've just realised Pokey and Eraser are in the pits. Well, Eraser's just come out. And that was very quick for JFRob52 to get by. So it didn't fill all the way to the top. So in terms of laps that we've got left, so it's 1:54 at the moment. We are looking at so 7 minutes a lap. So that puts us to 01, 08, 01, 08, 15, 25. So that's 4 laps remaining, if I've got that right. 5 including this, I believe. So 5 laps. I think Razor's going to have to come in again, you know. Oh my word, has Pazum made a mistake here? Pazum has made a mistake! Pazum has no fuel and he's at the start of the nudge. Oh my word, Pazum has made a colossal error here. Should have got in the pits, hasn't. And is about to run out of fuel. This is unbelievable stuff here in this race. I think Pazum is completely out of fuel. Well, we cut to that at the perfect time. I'm not sure what Pazum can do. Is that out? Is that out of fuel? Razor's going to get the victory here if Pazum has run out of fuel. What an error by Pazum. That's unbelievable. Pazum could end up at the back of the field. Dutchy's in the pits, by the way. So we're just waiting for a Razor to catch up to Pazum here. Nope, that's gone now. Look, Pazum's full power. No fuel at all. This is a Razor's victory for the taking. I don't believe this. What a turn up for the Bucks. I think Pazum's whacked his indicator on. I said that needed binding to some people. Pazum has really cost himself here. Hazard's fully on now. Slow car on circuit. I do not believe what has happened here at this special event. Pazum running out of fuel. Forgot to pit. There's Eraser. Eraser go through. Eraser takes the lead from Pazum. And really, Pazum is going to come up at the back of the LMP field after a cracking race. This is unbelievable stuff. Next up is Pokey, but look how slow he's going. 50 miles an hour. Pazum is seriously going to the back of the field. Dutchy is the furthest back in the LMP category. And Dutchy is going to overtake Pazum. This is unbelievable story, this. What a turn up that has happened here at the Nurburgring. You can just hear Pazum struggling along there with the engine on tick over. This is going to be Pokey overtaking Pazum. There you go. Oh, that's close. That was close. That was too close. Bit of an error there by, I think that was Pazum just trying to move over to the side. But I imagine Pazum is absolutely frustrated at home. Absolutely frustrated. Next up, Solonex. Wow, this is like Toyota at Le Mans all over again, except it's Pazum here at the Nurburgring 2.4-hour special of the WRS. This is unbelievable. I did wonder why Pazum hadn't come in. That's why I sort of went up to him a little bit, but my word. Look at this, being overtaken by Group 4 car now. Gets out the way, gets onto the grass. Next up is going to be Solonex. Through Solonex goes. Let's look at Solonex. Overtake Alex and Menos first as well. Through. There you go. Line the stern there. Oh, into the short left-hander. Alex loses it there. Alex has just lost it. into there. So similar situation to Dutchy. Alex has just done the exact same thing. Now let's go to Podium in 4th position. JF Rob 52 next to overtake Podium. Now if I was Podium, I would literally go for the fastest lap after this. But oh, JF Rob 52 going to catch me in a really awkward spot here. So that's JF Rob 52 up to 4th. Solnex with an unexpected podium at the moment. This is very interesting. Dutchy's next up. Oh, Dutchy getting the foxhole all wrong there. Onto the grass. Dutchy again. That's the 3rd time we go to Dutchy and he makes a mistake. I am sorry, Dutchy. I have put a massive curse upon you. I apologise. Gonna continue again. What are the chances of that happening? I really don't know. But Dutchy continuing on there. He will catch up to Podium. Podium isn't even halfway around the Nordschleife yet. So there's a potential here of Podium being lapped by the LMP category. Oh, Dutchy making another error there. Needs to calm down a little bit. We've got JF52 who's probably going to catch Alex Mentos soon enough, I think. Oh no, that's probably already happened. Nope, it's coming up. Could do with a bigger mini map, that's for sure. Just hear that Cayman. Oh, it sounds like a 911, but it is the Cayman there. The Cayman Group 4 car. Into the carousel we go. Really awkward place to catch a car, actually. Round he goes. Off the carousel. And then to the right Alex goes. The left gear front 52 goes. And through he goes. So Eraser currently 31 seconds in the lead. This is a turn up for the books for Eraser. I imagine he is over the moon. After a few mistakes early on in the race, Eraser is currently leading this WRS Special event here at the Nurburgring. Solonex. Well, let's go to Pokey first. Pokey in 2nd position. Good race from Pokey so far. We've caught him a couple times, make a few mistakes, but even so, 2nd place. Solonex is my big surprise here. Had an issue early on in the race. I made a mistake, but has brought it back with some very consistent racing. And look at him now, 3rd position on the podium. JF 52, 24 seconds behind Solonex. Obviously, that incident with Dutchy earlier on, that's been a bit of an issue. And did the sportsmanlike thing, waited for Dutchy, let Dutchy go. Then they had their race, got past Dutchy. I think Dutchy made an error and then continued on. Now, why did something change there? It looked like something changed on my screen, but apparently it didn't. So, Dutchy through the carousel. 5th position, of course, had that incident with JF52. I had a few incidents since. Every time I go to Dutchy, usually he makes a mistake. If Dutchy has a mistake now, I will blame the game. It obviously didn't like me viewing Dutchy, but no, through he goes. That's fine. Podium still struggling around this circuit. Where's Eraser? So, Eraser's going to catch Podium again, I think. Eraser's going to catch Podium again. I feel for Podium, I really do. Now, the next interesting story that is happening in this race is actually Windfire. Now, we know why Windfire hasn't done his driver change yet. And I've sneaky suspicion he was actually planning to go to the end of the race on this strategy. Now, we're going to have to do some maths here. So, you can just see Windfire catching up to Podium there. Podium letting him go. So you just see Windfire overtaking. So he's 54 seconds to Nick, who is 24 seconds. That gap hasn't changed at all. So that, we're talking what, I've got to do some maths here. 74 seconds, 114 seconds. Let's go a bit further down the grid. 114 seconds. Add another 27, 24, 34, 41. 41. Then another 30. 41 plus 30 is 51:01 11, so 2 minutes 11, and then 4 minutes, so that's 6 minute gap. So Windfire still got enough in hand there. We know Windfire had a lot anyway, but that is the story. So it's about a 6 minute gap, 6 minute 20 gap perhaps, but the big story is Podium at the moment creeping round the circuit out of fuel. So Podium about to get overtaken by somebody else. This is going to be Nick coming through. Just saw that. This is obviously a great viewing area at the Nurburgring. If you see the videos online, it's a great crash area. So next up is going to be Fastas overtaking Podium. So unfortunate for Podium this. It really is. He's going to get lapped again. He's going to get lapped by Eraser after such a cracking race. It'd be interesting to hear what happened to Podium. I'll try and bring it at the end of the video. Obviously that won't be live, that'll be after, and I'll report on that. As you see Fastest come through. Ooh, that was close. That was very close indeed. So next up is going to be the Lab Rat. We're just going to stay on Podium at the moment and just watch the cars and how they handle a slow moving car on the Nürburgring. This is probably torture for Podium. I apologise, Podium, if you're watching the full live stream. Of course, there's 2 videos of this. It's the highlights and the full one. If you're watching the full one, I apologise. But yes, this is torture for you. As Mr. Love Rat is, or Lab Rat, not Mr. Love Rat, that'd be that'd be interesting. I'd go with the heart on the back of his car at least. Is about to come through. We just hear the car now. There we go. Podium stays to the right. Through he goes. Oh, Podium's got that long straight. The long straight. Let's quickly jump between the cars. You can see where Eraser is. He's going to catch up to Podium again. Oh man. That hurts. That honestly hurts. I wonder what happened with Podium. I really do wonder. Of course, our other story is Windfire. Windfire still hasn't pit. And there's 20 minutes of the race to go. No, 18 minutes to go actually. Doing all the maths. So Windfire is going to have to pit at some point. Perhaps at the end of this lap he'll pit, just go for a quick splash and dash at the same time as when he does his simulated driver change. But we will wait and see for that. Ooh, all 4 wheels off the track there. There's Eraser. Let's go back to Podium as we just saw Argon go past. And this is where the torture really begins for Podium. The long run to the pits. It says P1 in his car, but unfortunately he hasn't got P1 in this race. That's going to be Eraser's. This is your race leader at the moment in this WRS Special. TRL Razor, Team Redline, representing here with a cracking livery on that car. And coming through this fast section of corners, and believe it or not, TRL Eraser's the next person to overtake Podium, and that is to lap Podium. That is one of the big stories from this event. Podium being lapped due to not fueling up the car, not doing the pit stop, and that is a big story. I do wonder whether Podium could have actually just nipped around to the Grand Prix circuit again. I'm not sure what the barriers are like there, but let's jump on board with Eraser. We'll take a full lap with Eraser as well. As he comes down towards the end of the lap. Already overtaken Podium. So Podium being lapped. So let's start a lap of this full circuit with Eraser. So we begin on the start finish line as we head down towards the first corner. Through we go, nice and done, well done there. You got to stay tight. Continues on towards the left and right hander. So through here you go. You want to push to the left, brake, drop gear, drop 2 gears in the LMP1 car, then accelerate out. You can just see the rear trying to come out there. Continue on now down towards the hairpin. Round we go. off full throttle for quite a while there. That's interesting. Podium finally in the pits there, 0% fuel. And now for Podium, he just needs to go for a fast lap. Try and get an ultimate lap in there just to redeem himself a little bit. Through this right-hander, you can see him Eraser having to adjust the throttle constantly to make sure the kart does not spin out. Continuing through the chicane. This is the easier chicane of the two at the Nurburgring. Through we go there. Fly through. Oh, look at... Oh, that's Argon going for a spin. Yellow flag's out in that sector. Just saw that up ahead. Clip the grass on the left-hand side. And that's spanning him out to the right. Through the left-hander we go with Eraser, though. Accelerating on the Norge life now. Down this right-hander. Lift probably through here or not. No lift. Look at that. Through down. We're going to brake in a second. Down 2 gears. Oh, 3 gears even. Through we go. And then the left. And then the right. How much curb is he using? Not that much. You can see how much the car is moving about on this section. It's very bumpy. You got to be careful through here. Head down the hill now. And then we're going to hit a slight hill and then the big hill of Floodplaats. Up we go, and then round we go, flat out. Loads of downforce in this car. It's easy to do. As we now head on this very fast section of the circuit, down the hill, and then back up. We've got a slight jump then into the left-hander. Left-hander, you got to be careful here. Into a braking zone straight away. Down. How many gears are we going? Down to 3rd gear. Being very careful again on the brakes. These are very tricky cars to drive. Accelerating now down the hill and then up towards the foxhole. This is where I made my mistake in the E3 video. You may remember that. Done very nicely here. And then you stay tight here to then get a nice run out of here because it's a fast acceleration period. A little bit longer than the other. Continues on here. Up on his time as well here. We could be on for an absolutely astonishing lap. Continues down. We've got double left now. 1 left, and then I'm going to drop through, 3 gears, that's what I expected. Accelerating now to this sharp right-hander. 2nd gear, just modulating that throttle a little bit. This tight section of the circuit now, left, right, and then we've got the double right-hander. You can just see this gets very tricky, it can pull you out, you know, there, and then this is where we saw Dutchy and Alex have issues with other cars into here. No problem for Eraser. Through we go, right-hander as we head now towards the slight right into the double left. Going to brake around where the cones are, or the tarmac there on the right. That's where you would normally brake in most cars. I've never driven LMP1 on this circuit myself. Through this right-hander we go, up the hill. Continue on now towards a sharp right-hander. This leads on to the really long acceleration period. You've got to get this corner right for a good lap time. Brake down. In you go, try and stay tight to get a good run out. So that's a fairly good run out. Now it's all flat out for a large number of seconds. All you've got to do is keep your foot down. We're half a second up on our best at the moment. Through the lefts. Keeps going left. We have some slight rights, but it's mainly lefts. 7th gear. Are we going to hit 190 by the time we have to brake? So we've got a slight right into a left. We're going to have to brake a little bit here, probably. Yes, just slight lift there. Continue on. We've got a little bit of a jump. 6 tenths up on our time now. Eraser's going for it here. Into the braking zone. Lots of gear changes down to 2nd. Then we've got the carousel coming up next. This is where you've got to be careful. Car will get unstable here. Make sure you are very careful. As you see, he's modulating throttle. Not even half throttle there. That's how dangerous that corner is. Continues on. I think Eraser's going to have to come in the pits for another stop here. And now the right-hander. I'll have to have a look at fuel for everybody else. 1 second. Oh, this is an unbelievable lap. Got left-hander. No wonder he's pushing. No wonder he's pushing. Look how bumpy that circuit is into this right-hander now. You've got to be careful here. Don't run too wide. It tightens into the left. Now, this is where I mentioned earlier. This is where all the YouTube videos happen. Down here. So it's a very hard section of the circuit because there's a bump on the inside. You've got to be careful of. You can just see that there, the bumpiness. Be careful of the gravel on the exit. Through down to this left-hander. Turn in 1.3 seconds up now. He's on fire here. But he's not going to complete the lap because he's going to go in the pits. It's unbelievable. Accelerating on. Now, down this jump. Got to be careful. Into this right-hander. Slight brake there. And then accelerate all the way through here. Flat out. Windfire. Windfire must be doing his driver change as well. We'll stay on with Eraser for now. Through the left and the right. Lost a bit of time in that sector. Continue on. Now towards this long right into the left. Then the mini carousel. We're catching up to Nick, it looks like. Oh no, sorry, Mr. Labrat. Continue on. And then we've got the mini carousel here. Ooh, just gets that a bit wrong there. You see how aggressive he went in? Too aggressive. Caused a bit of an issue into this right-hander now. And accelerating onto the straight. What issues we got here? Mr. Labrat lets him through on the left-hand side. Continues on now on the straight. We hit 211 earlier on. We're going to hit 211 now. Let's wait and see. Now, there's going to be 2 more laps after this, which puts us around where the prediction was, which is nice and handy. 202, 203, 204. No lift on this slight left. 207, 208. Not quite as good as 211 this time. Just 210, just. Into the braking zone. Look at that. Perfect driving there by Eraser. Through he goes into the right hand side and into the pit. So we've got Pokey, who is also going to be coming in this lap. Solnex will be. JFrog52 will be. Dutchy will be. And then, of course, Pazum has fuel, so Pazum will not be coming in, and Pazum is probably just going to be going for absolute fastest laps now. He's a lap down as well, remember, so it's basically over for Pazum at this point. Let's have a look at the other classes though now. We've got Nick there racing. Windfire is definitely doing his driver change. So Nick in the GT3 car has lost 2 seconds to fastest. That gap was up at 24 seconds at one point. That is now down at 2:22. So he's obviously just relaxing a little bit here, trying to get to the end of the race. I think Nick is going to have to pit again, you know. Looking at that fuel, it'll be very tight. Depends what he wants to do. If we then go to GTP Fastest, who again is similar to Nick, actually has less fuel. Obviously he's further back on the track as well. So he's going to have to pit again, I have a funny feeling. And then we have Mr. Labrat, who I'm going to start calling Mr. Loverat, because I think that was a bit better for him. Especially goes with a heart on the back of his car. Mr. Labrat has just pitted, I believe. Now, that could get interesting then, because if they've both pitted, and Mr. Labrat, I don't know why he's filled up to full based on the time, because it's based on total time, remember, 2:24 is the time of, that's a time so many times, unbelievable, is the actual race time that we're going for, not the laps. So that is interesting. And that could get interesting if the others pit as well. So we'll keep an eye on this, because obviously he's got fresher tyres as Mr. Labrat. 10th place, we got Argon. I've not really looked at Argon's livery there. It was about to get overtaken by... we've got 2 LMP cars next to each other there. What's happened here? Solonex and JFrod52. What's going on here? JFrod52's made the Pazum mistake. That's unbelievable. I don't believe JFrod52's done that same error as Pazum. Might not come at the back of the field. What is JFrod52 doing? That's unbelievable. 2 people have made the same mistake. And I can see why he's done it. He's gone for his fastest lap but not realised. He's on a very low fuel map. Look at that, flat out. So he's on a low fuel map. He's going to have to coast as best as he can. It's actually better at this point to just do half throttle and fuel map 6. Oh, there we go. You see? Nailed it. Bang on. This is what he's got to do. Now, can he cut the circuit? This is what I thought Pazum could do if he can. Can JFrod52 do that? Now, it's just coming up. Let's get on board. No, you can't. So, JFrod52 is going to potentially run out of fuel on this lap. He's coasting. And that means Dutchy could end up back in 4th position. This is a turn up for the books for Dutchy. He started in 4th. And he could end up in 4th. So that will be all good for Dutchy. Who is coming up behind? That's going to be Argon again, isn't it? It's going to be an unusual list. You can see JFROB 52, he realises he's made the same mistake as Podium. That's unbelievable stuff. That same mistake by 2 different drivers in the top lobby as well, remember. Very, very interesting. As he continues on, you can look, see quarter throttle. He's just trying to survive here because remember Podium was doing 50 miles an hour. Even if he does 100, he's doing it faster than Podium. As you're going to watch, you're going to watch a GT3 car. If we get on with the GT3 car. Oh, that nasty. That was not nice. I think damage is on. I'm not actually sure what damage is on. Let me double check that for you. I've got everything set up here. Where's damage? Damage is somewhere on here. Visible damage is on, mechanical damage is light, so it, the damage goes away at a relevant point. But this is going to get very interesting. Meanwhile, let's have a look at Windfire. So Windfire has come out well ahead of Alex Menel. In fact, where is Alex? It's about a 2-minute gap then, I would guess. It's not changed because Windfire's obviously crossed the line. So Windfire has come out in 11th place, but overall top in class. So fair play to Windfire. That's a flawless race there by Windfire. We go to Alex and Menos. Going to be coming in the pits as well. Shows you the gap that Windfire's got. I mean, his lap time's 102, 103, and Alex is only just coming in the pits. Meisterfetz, he's out till the end of the race, and it's not going to catch Alex, I don't think. That gap has continued to grow throughout this race. Meisterfetz has had a bit of a terrible time, to be honest. Which is unfortunate. We saw how quick he was in the GT300 Triple Mix Championship. Not so quick here. Where is it Razor on track? Because this is going to get interesting. No, we're definitely going to have one more lap. Just excuse me 1 second, just so I take another drink. There we go. I apologise. That's, I don't know, 2 litres of water gone. But even so, I feel like I'm a driver. I'm having to hydrate throughout the race. We've got some cars that are close together on the map. 3 is about to overtake somebody. It's always 4 actually. Oh no, 4's just been overtaken by Argon. So he's keeping up. He's still got fuel. JFROB 52 is managing that slightly better than Podium did. Though Podium I think started the lap with much less as well. Let's go on Solonex now. This is one of my big surprises of the race, Solonex. 3rd position so far, kept out of trouble, kept to a strategy, and is about to overtake Mr. Labrat. And there's only 29 seconds off Pokey. And there's had an absolute cracking, around the outside there. He's had an absolute cracking race, to be fair to Solonex. Had an issue earlier on, as I say, but has continued on and is up there so far. So, I suppose the next question is, how far is Dutchy from JFROB 52? 1 minute 12 seconds. On the map, that is the difference. You see the red arrow in the top right hand corner. That is the difference. We've got a long acceleration period. Dutchy is going to get 4th place here. Funny feeling Dutchy is going to get 4th. And Podium is... well, Podium hasn't been lapped by Dutchy. So, potential for Podium to at least get 5th and not come at the back of the field. And just losing the rear end a little bit there. But Razor starts the final lap now. It's going to be the final lap. And that's lap number 20 on the board. So lap 21, you continue round basically. And that's the way you can obviously then save the replay. But it's the results at the end of this lap that count. And Razor is currently leading that way. If I was Razor, I'd go for a fast lap now. As you can see, he's already up on his split. And... Fastass has just come in the pits. But Mr. Loverat, how far behind is he? Yeah, now Fastass is going to come out ahead of Mr. Loverat. Mr. Labrat. I keep saying Mr. Loverat now. I apologise. Not apologise. I think you should change your name. But there we go. It's going to come out there. Stay clean. I like that livery. Look at that. Stay clean with a rubber ducky. And the bubbles, of course. Fuel going in the car. Not even going for the tyre change, which is interesting. Trying to not lose as much any time at all. So strategy not quite worked out there for fastest, because of course he was looking for, you know, the final lap. You don't want to really be pitting with 1 lap to go. It's a bit annoying, really. But even so, we continue on. And have we got any battles going on anywhere? We don't really have any battles. The only battle we know of is going to be Dutchy, who we're going to get on board. Oh, no, it's happened again. It's happened again. Oh, God. Oh, terrible commentator's curse. But Dutchy should get 4th position here. He's 30 seconds behind JFrog 52, and he's gaining at a fair old pace of knots. Through the left, over the jump, and then into the right. Here we go. "25 seconds. So I think JFrog 52 is the next car along. In fact, let's have a look at fuel quickly. JFrog 52 still got a little bit left. Look at this coasting. This is where he's been smart. He knows 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour is faster than 50 that that Podium was going with when he ran out of fuel. Let's go to Dutchy now, though. Oh, Dutchy! Oh, no! I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say that. Oh, Dutchy! Oh my word! I don't even know how that happens. Every time I go to you. It's definitely coming. I must have a button. One of my buttons on my keyboard must literally say "spin Dutch's tyres up," because every time I do it, he goes flying. Even so, we continue on. JFrog 52 on this straight. We're going to catch up to JFrog 52 here. You just see him up ahead. Did we see him? I thought I saw some lights, but might have been mistaken. We don't see him yet. Obviously, Dutchy doesn't have to save any fuel. He can just go for it here. There's JFrog 52. So he's done well, JFrog 52. He's done very well. It's where he comes out now. He's done very well. In terms of fuel, what's he going in the pits with? I imagine 0. Yeah, 0. So, now the question is, where's Podium on circuit? Podium is going to overtake JFrog 52. Podium, if Dutchy makes any more mistakes, Podium could get Dutchy here, because he's not that far off. New fastest lap. I knew Podium was going to do that. I said that earlier on. Podium went for a fastest lap. He's got it at 6:57 dead. Well played, Podium. Now let's see what Podium can do. We'll just lose the rear end a little bit coming out of the corner. It's very sketchy, these LMP1 cars. But let's see how far behind. Oh, hang on. JFrog 52 lapped Podium. I did not know that. So he did get lapped by the whole field. That's remarkable. That is actually remarkable. Podium lost so much time. He got overtaken by everybody and lapped by everybody. Wow. Okay. Anyway, we're going to Eraser. This is your race leader at the moment on this final lap of the track. Yes, it says lap 20 or 21, but we're going to 2 hours 24 minutes, which we are on right now. So what Eraser has to do when he gets to the line, he say checkered flag, and then that will be the end of the race. And he's doing okay so far. Now he's catching up to somebody. Let's have a look at the live timing first of all. Let's see how everybody is getting on. Pokey has done an absolutely cracking last lap. Pokey's a good surprise here because he's nearly on pace with Eraser, which is very good. Solonex, one of my big surprises, of course. And is anybody actually close to anybody? It doesn't look like it here, really. So if we have a look now at the track map, Podium is catching up to car number 11, which is Alex Amenos. Number 3 is just overtaking number 7, which is Solonex on Nick. 2's just overtaken 13. So potential here. Right, let's have a look. Cars that are going to overtake each other are going to be 3 and 13 first, I think. Or 1 and 12. In fact, it's going to be Eraser, I think. And I think 12 is Alex. So Alex may finish on this lap now. Does Alex have enough fuel? Yeah, he does. So no worry to Alex. So this is your race leader. As I say, this is the final lap of this race here at the WRS Nurburgring 2.4 hour special to celebrate 15 years of the WRS at GTPlanet. It's been a cracking race. We've had some crazy scenarios play out. You know, we've had accidents. We had a big accident with JFrod 52 and Dutchy. Razor's had a few accidents. Dutchy's had many accidents. We keep going to Dutchy's. Pokey's had an accident. Solnex had accidents. Everyone's had accidents. Pasm missed fuel. Didn't go in the pits. JFrod 52, the same thing. But here you have your race leader, TRL Eraser, about to head towards the checker flag. Now, if Alex lets off, he can finish the race where he is. And now, if I was Alex, I would do that if I was him. Saves him going round again. It's going to be very close, though. Oh, Eraser down the inside. Eraser about to come across the line. And Eraser is going to take the victory there in this WRS Nurburgring Special. And fair play to Eraser. Alex Menos finishes in second in class in the Group 4s. Let's go to Pokey now. Pokey, your second place position driver in the LMP category. Just on this straight here. 210, 211 hit there. Look at that. Very fast. Down into this final section. So Pokey is going to come in second. Very well played to Pokey. An incident earlier on that we caught on camera. However, he's come back with a vengeance. Finished in second place on the podium. Fair play to GTP Pokey there. Well done indeed. Now, third place is actually next on track as well. It is Solonex, and you can see that by the lights on that car. Solonex, my big surprise really here in this special. Very well played to Solonex. Absolutely flawless race after the first incident, and he's just come along and nabbed that final podium position. Very well played to Solonex, as he's now comes across the line to finish his race. So now we need to find out who's behind here. It's Meisterfetz, about to come in third position in the Group 4 category. Comes across the line there. As I say, Group 4 category. Meisterfetz had a bit of an issue throughout that race. 1 minute 21 seconds behind Alex Menos. So, who's next up on the track? I have a funny feeling that's Nick. It's not Nick. We're trying to find who is that person. Who is the mysterious driver on the straight? Was somebody going really slow then? It's fast. It's Nick! Nick's run out of fuel! What's going on? Another driver has run out of fuel. That's a big story for you. Fastass is going to take the victory in the Group 3 category. How did I miss that? I thought I saw a Porsche going slow then. I was like, what's going on? So Fastass is about to take the victory in Group 3. This is another surprise, a big surprise from the strategy that's played out. GTP Fastass takes the victory in Group 3. Very well played. Unbelievable stuff here going on. 3 people have not gone in the pits and fueled up. Which means Mr. Labrat is going to be next in second place. A completely different strategy to everybody for Mr. Labrat. And to get second place, very well played. Now, let's quickly, I just want to see how far Nick is ahead of Argon. Nick could come behind the Group 4 class, you know. Let's go back to Argon quickly, because Argon's, sorry, Mr. Labrat is about to come across the line. I've called him Mr. Love Rat a few times. I may have done it at the start of the race, I don't know. But Mr. Lab Rat is about to come across the line. Fair play to Mr. Lab Rat, finishing in second position here in this special event. Very well played. So, now the big news and story. Here's Argon, here's Dutchy. They overtake Nick. So that's Nick dropping down to 10th. So let's go to Dutchy. Nope, that's Dutchy. So we have Dutchy here in 4th position. I'm not sure what JFrod 52 was doing. Oh, we got a bit of a battle with Pasm here. They must have had just a fun battle on the last lap. But we've got Dutchy, who's now coming in to the end of the lap. Dutchy, started in 4th, had a big accident with JFrod 52. I don't think it was Dutchy's fault. We've given him the commentator's curse with many accidents. However, he's going to come across in 4th place at the end of this, which shows you anything can happen in these endurance races. We now have GTPlanet 52 in 5th position. In fact, Argon. We've got Argon first, I think. Argon's just come across the line. 3rd in the Group 3 category. Very well played, Argon. We just saw a mistake at the end of the race there for him. But that's GTPlanet 52 coming home in 5th position. And Pazum. Oh my word. What a story for Pazum. Coming home in 6th position, even though he was leading up until the near very end and then didn't go in the pits. Unbelievable. Now Nick is going to come in next, I believe, not unless Windfire gets some nitrous in him. But Nick not going in the pits. This is another error. 3 drivers, GTPlanet 52, Pazum, and now Nick not going in the pits, misreading their strategy, and Nick has gone from class victory to class not even making the podium of 4th position. But he's going to come across the line all the same. It's good that they've been whacking the hazards on these drivers to let other drivers know they are a hazard on track. Beware of them and go round them. But there's Nick, unfortunately, coming home in 4th position. Just wait for him to cross the line. You can see the effect it's had. 3 minutes on his lap. So it wasn't a full lap, thankfully. It only just happened when we caught it, I think. But even so, big loss there. Then we go to a Group 4 class leader, which is Windfire. Now, Windfire is quite low on fuel, but it looks like he's done it properly. 2 minutes and 6 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Now, this is the last person to finish the race, is Windfire. Of course, the other Alex and Meister got lapped again by Razor, so Windfire effectively a lap ahead. Very well played by Windfire. I did wonder about his driver strategy, but even so, it's played out fine. He did his driver change as per the rules, but he's about to come around this final double right-hander and head on to the start-finish straight and head towards the finish now. Cracking livery on that car as well, and it shows you not all the fast drivers went to the LMP class. They all chose different categories. Nick in the GT3, of course, we know he was at the Canadian Championships. We know he's quick. Windfire, we know he's quick from GT300 Championship. Chose GT4. And then obviously we've got TRL Eraser winning the LMP category. And we know Eraser's quick. GT Academy. But it's all about this Group 4 winner now. Windfire coming into the end of the circuit. Lovely 4-wheel drift there. You can just see the brakes glowing red. Shows you how much he's pushing. And it's about to run out of fuel at the same time. So perfectly strategized there by Windfire. Could get a fastest lap here at the end as well. Nope, just off. But congratulations to Windfire, and he whacks his hazards on. So now we just have Eraser, who's going to come round and finish out this race so that everyone can save the replay. But what a cracking race. An absolutely thrilling race with what we did not expect. Even on the last lap, somebody ran out of fuel. Unbelievable stuff. But there we go. That's the end of the race. And there's the finish. Congratulations to all the drivers. Really unfortunate we lost Adam and Crispy at the start. Well, it wasn't the start. It was a couple of laps in. Because Adam was actually on a different strategy as well. That would have been really interesting to see. So the big talking points, of course, of the race was Eraser doing a completely different driver change strategy. Did it very early on. Had to do a bit of catching up. Was in net second by the time everyone had done theirs. But then this driver, Pazum, ran out of fuel. And you can just see he stopped at the side of the road there. Along with somebody else in the GT4 category. And that is the big news from this race event. Pazum running out of fuel at the very end of the GP circuit. He had to go the entire Nordschleife on 50 miles an hour and got lapped by every single LMP car. Unbelievable stuff. GTPlanet 52, of course, made a similar mistake, but fortunately for him, he had a bit more fuel than Pazum and managed to just maintain 70-80 miles an hour, which is a big difference in the grand scheme of it, of course. So didn't lose out to Pazum. Of course, GTPlanet 52 had that incident with Dutchy that we just missed. We literally just had gone off them two, and then they had the accident, and then suddenly yellow flag appeared, and then we saw what happened. But GTPlanet did give the position back, so fair enough with that sportsmanlike conduct. That's good. That's what we like to see. And of course, the other big news story in this, in the end, is actually Nick coming home, and he should he have done that? Shouldn't they have carried on? I'm not sure, but Nick should have gone in the pit. Sorry, didn't. Ran out of fuel on the last lap, cost him the class victory, cost him the overall class victory. So yeah, what an intense race that was. We've been going for 2 hours 40 minutes. My voice has gone, my throat has gone. I'm dying for the loo because I've drank like 2 litres of water to try to keep it hydrated. There were silence periods during that race, but that's for me catching my breath and trying to keep my voice, as I've got work tomorrow. But I hope you enjoyed this video all the same. What will happen is, of course, like the start where I do a separate intro, I will do a separate outro. I'll try and find out what happened with Podium, GTPlanet and Nick. Try and get that information out to you as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the live commentary. As I say, this is the live commentary. This is as it happened. I'm commentating to you now live. I would live stream this if I could. I can't. The internet's not good enough. However, you still get to hear about the race as it happened, which is what we want. So we've got 10 seconds until the race ends. I need to get ready to save this replay actually, so let me do that. I'm not sure why I need to save the replay, but I'm going to save it all the same, because I do want to see what happened with GTPlanet and Dutchy as well. May even get that in at the end of the outro. Look at that victory. There's your victor, TRLA Razor. 2 positions raised. Fair play to that guy. So let's replay. Let's save the replay. There we go, and then we get the end results. So let's pass over now to the outro and myself again, and what happened during the race. So I hope you enjoyed that race. What a race it was. I did my little bit of outro already sort of during the results, but a Razor again, what a victory that was. But let's have a look at the talking point a little bit in that, or one of the talking points. We had a couple. Let's have a look at this Dutchy and GTPlanet. So that should be on your screens now, and we just follow Dutchy and GTPlanet up towards the foxhole. You can just see that now. They're catching up to Mr. Labrat in a really difficult section, to be fair. So they overtake Mr. Labrat. He just stays out of the way, which is fair enough. Through they go. He actually goes off the track there. And they continue racing. So what did happen with these 2 drivers as they head down towards this corner? This is where the yellow flag sort of came out. Into here we go. Oh, GTPlanet touches the grass, under braking, absolutely slams. That was a massive slam into Dutchy. So that's what happened there. They both get out of the way of Solonex and then the 2 GT3 cars. So GTPlanet then waits. So that's the incident that happened. You can see why GTPlanet waited. As I say, that was good sportsmanlike conduct. That's the reason why he waited, because slight tap on the grass, full on slamming to Dutchy, lets him go, and then he continues racing. So that's obviously one of the talking points. The other one, as I've mentioned several times already, the fuel. What was going on with the fuel? 3 people misread their fuel. So obviously GTPlanet managed it, and managed it very well actually. So fair play to GTPlanet, but Podium ran out of fuel. Obviously big story because he was out there in the lead. What would have happened with him in a Razor, we don't know. And Nick as well, running out of fuel, was leading the class, came in 4th place. Wow, how interesting was that? I hope you enjoyed that commentary. Sorry if there was any spots where perhaps I did a bit less talking or stopped talking for a little while. As I say, I've got to look after the throat and the voice, and you can only have so much water next year. So yeah, so if you did find that, apologies for that. If you enjoyed the highlights, because there's a highlight video as well, I hope you did enjoy those. I'll hopefully do some more commentaries, perhaps not as long as a 2 hour 24 minutes race, because it's a bit insane to do it solo. But that's it for now here from the Nurburgring Special. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.